running down the remaining members' way. Should get hopped on. Is going to dodge out of the grand entrance with that flash. He should be fine. Does have the ultimate cooking, so he will be healing up a decent amount, but that is just 2, and that is all that's left to defend for IG.
Hơn 30 phút mới được mở 100 số hồn thì đánh đấm sao được.
是的，逼了个大招，酒精上来2下，符合到王昭君的伤害，直接压了一波血，然后想让你的大招又被打出来，上高也被顶住，直接被拆掉。
阵容强度不高，
开始出现问题，
一波线直接把thứ hai là tôi chết tự mua tâm luôn mà.
现在就不用着急了，选择兵甲。
Bạn rủ tôi làm gì? Tôi quan tâm đâu.
30秒之后的双。
Ok, được rồi. 29 sao?
Steal this one away from JDG. He's had the better smites on him in the 50-50 so far.
Mấy cái W thì không xịt được.
Be careful not to get caught out here though, because again, Elk will just absolutely melt you. They're just going to go straight onto him. All those platinum stacks start to stack up. No ult to try to get the healing back. The Baron goes over, and now he has just baited his entire team into Elk's mouth, as that'll be a couple kills going back over the Weibo again. 16-0, and Xiaohu will end up getting the kill after missing the flash scout of the week, but it doesn't matter. It's all for show. As 32 minutes in, Weibo are now pouncing towards the nexus of IG.
Mọi thứ lúc này đã kết thúc rồi anh em ơi. Quá khó dành cho bên phía của IG. Baron đang tiến vào cùng với cả 5 thành viên của Weibo Gaming. Họ sẽ có được trận gỡ 1-1 ở trong trận đấu này. Tuyệt vời, 1-1 anh em ơi. 1-1. Tuyệt vời ông mặt trời. Chúng ta về đúng 1-1. Và như vậy là cuối cùng thì cái dớp của tôi với 3 trận thông liên tiếp đã dừng lại ở đây. Cái dớp của tôi đã dừng lại ở đây anh em nhé. Và như vậy là chúng ta sẽ có ván 3. 2. Chúng ta sẽ có ván 3 ở trong trận đấu này. Mẹ may đúng là kiếp nạn. Supply liên tục. Không hiểu lý do gì vì supply nhiều thế. Hy vọng rằng là một lúc sau thì mọi thứ sẽ ổn hơn dành cho tôi. Hy vọng là một lúc sau thì mọi thứ sẽ ổn. Supply nhiều quá. Anh em F5 lại giúp tôi nhá. Vào lại phòng kênh hộ tôi cái. Vào lại phòng kênh hộ tôi cái để xem là vấn đề gì đây thì mẹ mày sập mấy lần từ nãy giờ, cay thật.
I don't know what is.
Like this is just reminding me of their series in Demacia Cup, where they have just these dismally looking games where they can't set up around objectives properly. They don't look like they can team fight, and then we go into a game 2 or like a game 3, and suddenly this Weibo team wakes up and they have a single game that looks really good. It's all about the flash in the pan. Can we get that consistently though is the problem.
That is always the question with Weibo, isn't it? Even with this new iteration, even with this new roster, still able to find the win here. And the Malphite, it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
It didn't look that bad. But now
didn't look that great.
Didn't look great, but didn't look that bad. And now I'm really curious what this game 3 is going to have to offer us, because we've kind of still haven't seen Xiaohu necessarily step up to the plate and knock out a home run, but it really was the team surrounding him, and that bot lane, like you were saying, got the better of him. But it's also something to think about where Dway did not, he looked more like his 2025 self in a lot of ways, where you have some games that aggressive style is so potent, so strong, and other games where it just leads you to shooting yourself in the foot.
I feel like that's basically the Dway way every time. Dway is going to find and engage, and whether you're going to follow up or I'm going to die. That's just how it goes. I did take a quick look. It was 21 kills. It was 24 summer. BLG, it was Knight versus Care. We won't be seeing Care for a little bit of time here on the LPL.
Wow.
But yeah, 21 kills. Still, 19 is pretty good.
Not too bad. Very close. Yeah. And that just puts another feather into the Elk Kaisa cap. I don't know how many more times this guy is going to be able to get. Next, you're going to tell me that Gala in the next series is going to get Kaisa.
Maybe.
If it happens, then maybe it just takes a refreshing memory every year. Just get smacked on the head by a giant Kaisa-shaped stick and see what happens. But it's nice to see a third game. I think I really want to see the breadth that these teams bring to the table, and the fact that they both, on paper, have very similar styles of kind of roaming mids, playing those side lanes, and trying to capitalize on that. We did see Weibo kind of center around a team aspect, right? Like just roaming around as a death squad, and you see that represented with 62,000 damage for Elk.
That's what you got to do. You're playing Malphite, you're playing Kai'Sa, you're playing Rakan. Snap their heads off and just take them anywhere you can. If you can find a fight, that's what we're looking for. This IG team, I feel like this composition, if they would have won this game, it would have been a low and slow down to the ground. Like, hey, we're going to just like slow roll you over on this top side. We made a few too many aggressive plays that ended up kind of costing us the game. But I think in theory, you had a really strong 2v2. You don't mess up the early game. We saw that still Xiaohu was not all that great in lane. I feel like this still could have been a really convincing IG win, but they ended up stumbling over themselves in a lot of instances.
41% of team damage done. That's a lot, even in the new age of ADC. And we're going to take a look back at some of these plays. And again, it didn't feel like IG were necessarily out of the fights until it seemed dire. And we still really loved some of the functioning around their top trio. But this play from Zika setting up Elk really was a bit of the nail in the coffin, because it just started getting worse and worse from here.
I just want to see Elk right-click us a Mundo. There's nothing more fun.
You asked who kills the Mundo. Well, Elk answered.
Yeah, Kai'Sa. Turns out Kai'Sa does. I should have known that, but I was also really banking on the fact that the rest of this team would have got it together. I also wasn't expecting my Rel to die level 1. So
yeah, that was tough.
That's my fault. I should have known. I should have just known we were going to mess up the 2v2.
This is the word. Don't let any ADC naysayers see this clip here. ADC still sucks. Please buff it, Riot.
Please don't buff this role. We don't need buffs. We don't need buffs.
Yes, we do.
There's more gold in the game. We get more items. Look, ADC maybe in the past, sure. The past couple years, sure. Not this season. We can't get away with this. I won't allow for this propaganda.
Now, I'm really starting to wonder here, who could possibly get the MVP for this game? I'm really struggling.
I think we should give it to Xiaohu. I think we should give Xiaohu an MVP.
For being an unk.
He
showed up to the shindig.
He plucked Elk away from BLG. He said, "Come here. You're gonna come to my team. We're gonna win the league.
Come to the Tiger's Den. Come.
And I'm gonna prove to you that I've always been better than Knight.
Ooh.
I've won more MSIs than Knight.
Oh, really?
Has.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Look.
Who broke the record for domestic titles?
It took Knight a year early. It took Knight one more year to reach a World Finals.
Oh my God!
Than
How
he did for
dare
Xiaohu.
he? How dare he?
That's all I'm saying.
Ripping
guys.
off your shirt won't do anything now, Wei. Unfortunately, still go down as Mundo. I do expect this MVP to go to Elk, just for the sheer numbers that were able to be put up. The only other iteration, I would say Arha, I think deserves, or Zika for some of those big Meganar plays. But those would be like the only potential other options.
There is no other option. There's just
no
Elk.
other option. Can we get those Riftbound packs though? Like, can we just?
I mean, they just got rid of reflexive triggers, so maybe the game's a little bit easier to play. There we go. There he is.
There he is. 19-0, 90% KP, 41% damage done. Elk on a new team for the first time in years. And didn't show up in game number 1, showed up big time in game number 2. If he's got comfort, he can lead the way.
That's going to be a big kind of trend for this team, is not just for Elk, but entirely for Weibo, is can we have multiple big games in a row? And can we recapture some former glory? A lot of these guys might be chasing some shadows behind them in terms of their careers. So all in all, kind of hoping for some stronger performances. And look, game 1, game 2, we're here to game 3 in our first series of the season.
I love to see it. It's the only LPL way, and I couldn't be more excited to get a game 3 for the first series. That is it for our second game, though. It is tied up 1-1. We'll see who ends up taking the side selection and the first pick selection after this for game number 3. Welcome back to LPL English, your unofficial home for everything LPL. We are back with the kickoff of the 2026 season. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Alk. We've got Kai on production behind us, and we've got a tied series, 1-1 between Weibo Gaming and Invictus Gaming. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, it's just been really impressive the way these two teams have won. I think IG have generally so far opened up the season with better macro, but it seems like Weibo are kind of tapping into some of that highs that we're expecting from this team. I just don't know if we're going to consistently get it. I won't lie to our audience here, London. I'm scared about this game 3 because I'm ready for Weibo to really just show me the lows of the lows. Really just mudslinging here for game 3 and give us the Demacia Cup version of these two teams.
I'm here for it. I want all the chaos. I want all the craziness. It's the first game. It's the first series at least. It is double round robin, so you got a lot more games to go at least.
Sure.
But it's gonna be interesting what version of these teams we get. Again, we've seen control of the map be extremely important. We've seen Weibo control dragons actually for 2 games in a row now, but really try to dictate that pressure from mid lane. Pushing out of mid lane, getting to those side lanes, getting proactive has been the name of the game for both teams so far, and I kind of want to see that at least continue in the draft, because we've seen very particular drafts in combining different skills, especially the mid jungle duos, but especially for Weibo in that game number 2, just the point and click you die buttons they had across the entire team.
That's why Malphite has been so coveted. I feel like Malphite is the next evolution of like every professional player's like ideal jungler. You don't have to farm very much. You just press R, and it's like a slightly less potent Vi, right? Like if Vi is not going to be strong, we might as well just pick her second best option here. And guess what? You also have a much cheaper build path. I'm always looking at these two junglers. Like I think JJ was unceremoniously taken off this IG after being the better performing player on the lineup in Split 1. And then we're looking at Wei. Like, I mean, Wei was he's always been a bit of a greedier player in my mind. Whether that be with early jungle pathing or taking some of these farming champs.
And I do, the differing leadership styles, all the info that came out about, not want to be a part of 6-man roster for JJ and stuff like that was really interesting, because you see some of that control, some of that general feel from JJ on the Rift right now with Weibo, where he is trying to pull a lot of the team around with certain decisions. And I think it's really nice to see them continue to kind of play into that court. But the biggest show out, game number 2, has to be Elk, and he showed so many similarities in the way that he played that to some of his highest highs on BLG, and they just need to play around this guy. Get the lane states, get the waves, get the map state to let this guy get to late game carry potential and let him loose. He tried to do it in game number 1 of Unara, did not work out because they never got there. But you see what happens when he does.
He's going to have a lot of growing pains. We saw it early on with him and Arha. It'll take a little bit of time for them to really start to click, especially I think Arha came into last year's Weibo, or this year's Weibo, 2025's Weibo, as a player who has to try to mix up a team with a lot of just bad energy. They're already losing. They're already kind of in a pretty bad spot. And you have a lot of vocal leaders. Tien, Breathe, Light, Xiaohu obviously. And now he's coming into another team where...
Game 3 anh em à. Hello anh em nhá. Chào mừng anh em quay trở lại game 3 nhá. Ở trong ván đấu quyết định này thì quan điểm của tôi vẫn tin là IG sẽ thắng. Bởi vì thực ra lực của nó mạnh hơn so với TES Gaming, nhưng mà ván vừa rồi nó đánh diễn quá. Thế nên là tôi cũng hơi buồn với đội hình của IG ván trước, bởi vì họ đánh buồn cười quá. Ván này tôi nghĩ là IG thắng thôi. Đâm trừ 3.5 IG nhá. Ngoài ra thì thôi trận này tài tham đi anh em ơi. Mẹ nhìn hai thằng này đánh thì tôi quay xe. Tài tham khẩn trương. Tôi đã tin nhầm người và tôi cũng không muốn gọi là bảo thủ quá với quyết định của Bình. Hai thằng này đánh quá hài. Hai thằng này đánh quá hài anh em ạ. Nên là chúng ta cứ tài tham mà dã thôi. Kill thì trận này tôi nghĩ là khả năng cao sẽ xỉu kill. Bởi vì hai thằng này nó đánh sẽ an toàn ở trong ván này. Xỉu kill 29.5. trừ 3.5 Invictus Gaming và tài tham 32. Ok chưa? 3 mã nhá. Ngoài ra đâm tôi con rồng đầu thằng Invictus Gaming cái. Trận này IG nó sẽ ăn rồng đầu đấy. Đâm tôi rồng đầu Invictus Gaming á. 4 mã cả. Đồng ý lên thuyền anh em ấy. Đồng ý lên thuyền đấy. 4 mã tất cả đấy. Tập trung trọng tâm với tôi mã tài tham 32. Trận này thì nhà khá nhiều lựa chọn bao pick. Tôi thấy là có Nico và ngay lập tức thì khóa vào Nico đến từ WBG Gaming, nhưng trước tiên thì IG lấy cho mình đó là Amesa trong tay của Somodo, bởi vì họ biết được rằng Amesa tầm này không con nào cả được nó nữa. Cá sấu không còn, Rumble không còn và cờ nạc cũng không còn. Weibo hiện tại có một sự lựa chọn là Achop, nhưng Achop thì nó cũng chỉ là lựa chọn farm hòa thôi. Bảo Achop có thể gọi là đi trên cơ với đối phương thì khó. Achop gần như chỉ là một sự lựa chọn farm hòa thôi anh em nhé. Rồi, như vậy là xin giao đi rừng dành cho bên phía của JDG. Cùng với đó thì Way đang có tiên hướng là sẽ lấy một con tướng đi rừng. Hiện tại thì vai chưa dùng đúng nhở? Đúng rồi, vai hiện tại chưa dùng. Và có thể sẽ là vai dành cho bên phía của IG. Nhưng bây giờ thì quyết định xoay sang Sion. Và nếu như là Sion thì Way sẽ chơi Amesa đi rừng. Nếu là Sion cho Somodo thì Way sẽ chơi Amesa đi rừng anh em nhé. Sẽ là Amesa rừng hay chăng đây, nhưng quyết định là xoay sang đó là Sivir. Sivir xạ thủ dành cho bên phía của IG. Lấy Sivir rồi thì quyết định của Doki có lẽ sẽ làm một con đường giữa farm. Tiếp tục sẽ là tiền ứng con đường giữa farm. Hiện tại thì vẫn còn pháp sư đó là Victor. Vẫn còn một con nó cục hơn là Zole, nhưng mà hiện tại đang hơi thiếu sát phép thuật nên khả năng sẽ là Victor. Khả năng rất cao là chúng ta sẽ có Victor. Và trước mắt là khóa Leona cái đã. Như vậy là lấy một cặp đôi đường dưới an toàn là CV Leona. Cặp này khá mạnh nhá, đẩy đường tốt, kiểm soát thế lính ổn. Và có thể giao tranh tổng 5 vs 5 cũng ok. Điểm yếu nhất là CV giai đoạn đầu nó hơi yếu một chút thôi.
So, I mean, I do appreciate that we have another team fight centric so they can really pop off in these big 5-on-5s, but a little bit more consistency in that regard as well for Protein this time. Senna kind of took back foot last time around. I think this time
hôm nay trước khi bắt đầu trận đấu này thì tôi gửi anh em một bài thơ nhá. Một bài thơ rất là hay mà tôi vừa tự nghĩ ra. Bài thơ tôi vừa nghĩ ra và là để anh em có thể thưởng luôn. Anh em có thể thưởng luôn vào lúc này. Anh mặc áo số 90 bởi vì yêu em 9 bỏ là 10. Giận hờn xin gửi theo lời gió bay. Thương em từ lúc ban mai đến khi nắng tắt vẫn say dáng người. Cùng em tháng rộng năm dài, vòng tròn khép lại, trọn đời bên em. Đẳng cấp. Tôi vừa xuất khẩu thành thơ thì mẹ về sau cái chuỗi gọi là liên tục gặp điểm không may một chút nào. Gặp những cái điểm không may một chút nào nên thôi là thỉnh thoảng làm tí thơ cho nó uy tín một tí. Anh em mình có cảm hứng để chúng ta tiếp tục đồng hành cùng với nhau ở trong những diễn biến cuối cùng trong cặp trận này. Khả năng cao là tí nữa tôi sẽ có khi là không kịp hết trận này đâu, và tôi sẽ đồng hành cùng với anh em trong khoảng 15 phút thôi. Bởi vì tí nữa thì tôi có việc bận một chút, tầm khoảng 6 rưỡi tôi phải đi có tí việc. Trận này đúng ra là tôi tính là 2 game mà xong mẹ rồi, tôi đi việc là vừa, nhưng mà không kịp. Tại vì thực ra lúc đầu tôi định đi luôn đấy. Tôi không bình luận game 3 game bùng ở đâu, nhưng mà cái vấn đề ở chỗ là bởi vì tôi muốn lên nói một chuyện anh em tí để cho nó đỡ bị supply ấy. Tôi sợ nó bị supply các thứ như nào đó để nói chuyện anh em cho nó vui vẻ. Tôi cũng tiện thể tôi lên kèo cho anh em một chút cho chúng ta thoải mái. Trở lại với ban pick thì chúng ta thấy được rằng là Jack đã có trong tay của Zika. Như vậy là Jack trong tay Zika thì hiện tại vẫn chưa lộ đường trên. Bởi vì nhìn cái thế này là chắc là thằng IG nó lấy con ấy rồi. Nó lấy con Gì ở con Amesa ở đi rừng rồi, đang nhá liên tục và khả năng sẽ là Gragas đường trên để bổ sung thêm lượng sát thương phép. Ngoài Gragas đường trên ra, chúng ta còn đang có một cái kèo khác nữa. Đó là trường hợp của đường giữa nhá zone đấy. Không biết là có dám lấy zone hay không. Hiện tại thì tôi nghĩ là chỉ có zone là hợp lý cho bên phía của Rocky thôi. Còn không, nếu mà Rocky lấy Victor thì nó hơi tủ. Zone là ok rồi, nhưng mà vẫn đang nhá Aurora. Thì mẹ tôi thấy Aurora đéo ngon. Lý do là bởi vì Aurora kết hợp với con Amesa nhìn nó cứ kiểu đéo gì ấy. Tất nhiên là level 6 thì cặp này vẫn mạnh, nhưng mà trước level 6 nó yếu á. Và đó sẽ là Cassiopeia trong tay của Seoul. Như vậy đội hình của hai bên đã được tạo ra với một đội hình mà tôi đánh giá là mạnh hơn rất nhiều từ bên phía của Invictus Gaming. Con Gragas là một con counter cứng và con rắc. Và ngoài ra nữa thì Aurora cũng là một chất tướng cơ động, và nếu nó xanh sớm thì nó có thể lăn cầu tuyết cực đẹp. Đường dưới sẽ là một đường đẩy dành cho bên phía đội hình của IG. Và nó là một đội hình cực kỳ áp lực và thậm chí là có thể duo kill ở cánh dưới luôn. Tí nữa có thể là trận này chưa hết tôi đã phải đi rồi đấy anh em ạ. Thế nên là khả năng là tí nữa thì tôi sẽ ngồi lên thiên với anh em mấy đoạn đầu thôi. Ghê à? Ghê bình thường. Thì nó chỉ là một trong những cái tài lẻ thôi. Chứ còn ăn thua thì chưa hay lắm đâu à. Thế còn chưa hay nữa à? Thế còn chưa hay nữa à? Hiện tại tôi đang có cái kênh YouTube, kênh TikTok. Hiện tại tôi đang có một kênh TikTok, anh em có gì vào follow nhá. Nó là kênh bình luận viên Văn Xỉu. Anh em lên gõ TikTok giúp tôi tìm bình luận viên Văn Xỉu. Hiện tại thì tôi đã ra được tầm khoảng đâu đó 10 clip rồi. Anh em nhớ lên follow kênh thì thỉnh thoảng nghe thơ tôi trình bày nhá. Lắm thơ phết đấy. Hiện tại tôi đang làm được 3-4 bài thơ rồi. Đợt tới thêm một bài, 2 bài nữa là ok. Nay mày đặt làm thơ à? Mày đặt đéo đâu, tí địt này. Hôm nay đen quá. Đã cứ làm một tí lại sập, thành ra là phải lên làm thơ một chút, gọi là giải tỏa áp lực căng thẳng. Nhiều anh em thì có cách giải tỏa các kiểu khác. Ví dụ như anh em giải tỏa bằng người yêu anh em giải tỏa bằng rượu, anh em giải tỏa bằng cái gì đấy, chất kích thích gì đấy. Nhưng mà tôi giải tỏa bằng cách làm thơ. Đó, khi nào tôi buồn thì tôi lại lấy thơ tôi làm. Đấy mới hay. Khi nào buồn tôi lấy thơ tôi làm thôi. Ngồi lên thiên tí nhá, tôi chắc là tầm khoảng 25 tôi phải đi rồi. 6 giờ 25 tôi phải đi rồi. Ngồi làm 7 phút thôi. Cái này thì xem là bên phía của Weibo thì họ chơi kiểu gì, nhưng mà tôi nhìn đội hình này Weibo pick tủ á. Đấy, đua kill luôn này. Leona là một con tiếp cận rất tốt con Nico anh em nhá. Nó làm con tiếp cận rất tốt con Nico. Thành ra trận này khó chơi cho đội hình của bên phía Weibo đấy.
I'm worried here, Lennon, and I need to see whether or not we can actually get anything out of this mid lane matchup. We have kind of talked a lot about the Cassiopeia by itself, but the theoretical value of this champion does grow if we can see Weibo get an early lead.
Kèo này thì hai bên khả năng sẽ về xỉu kill anh em nhá. Thực ra thì con rắc nó là một con bị counter bởi con Gragas. Nhưng có vấn đề là tôi nghĩ là anh em nên biết, đó là con Gragas thì cũng rất khó solo kill được con rắc. Counter thì counter, nhưng mà để solo kill con rắc thì không dễ. Chẳng có gì để lấy ra solo kill cả, trừ khi can thiệp của rừng. Cũng khó anh em ơi.
We're 2-4. It's gonna be 240, and he's gonna be done with blue buff. Like this is crazy. By the way, and this champion has been like this for almost the entire year. I want to put that out, by the way.
It's just crazy. You know how many world records are gonna be broken now?
Ngồi lên thiên với anh em tầm 5 phút nữa tôi đi rồi. Có gì anh em ở lại xem vui vẻ nhá. Lên nhớ lớn lại tôi nhắc lại thêm mấy kèo của tôi này. Trận này tôi đâm cho tôi kèo xỉu 31, đâu tài 31, sau đây anh em tài tham 31 hoặc tài tham 32 cũng được luôn. Đâm hẳn 3 cho tôi. Ngoài ra thì đâm cho tôi trừ 3.5 IG. Đâm tiếp cho tôi kèo dòng 1 cho IG. Và đâm cho tôi thêm một mã nữa là mã xỉu Q 29.5. Trận này sẽ về xỉu Q. Amesa làm con tướng không thể đánh nhau ra đoạn đầu được. Thế nên là IG nó sẽ farm hòa trong đoạn này. Sivir cũng thế, Rai cũng vậy. Toàn kèo farm hòa thôi, thành ra là quá khó để tạo ra được sự khác biệt.
This is tough though. Like the wave is pushing away from Zika, and you don't have any crowd control.
Đánh nhau không thay được, mẹ kèo này không thể đánh nhau được không ạ? Tài giam xỉu Q, đúng rồi. Giờ sai à? Giờ sai giải nghệ thôi em. Thực ra thì chưa giải nghệ đâu, nhưng mà ý anh nói là nó cũng không có hứng thú để nó đánh nữa, mà cái cơ hội nó trở lại cũng thấp lắm anh em ạ. Lý do là bởi vì game Liên Minh này nó cũng đi đến hồi kết rồi. Và ngoài ra nữa, không phải đi hồi kết mà là kiểu nó bị thoái trào ấy. Và cái mức lương, cái trần lương của cái giải nó cũng không được cao nữa. So với việc mà nó làm từ chuyên nghiệp thì nó làm livestream, nó làm streamer, nó kiếm tiền dễ hơn. Kiểu thế. Nó làm streamer kiếm tiền dễ hơn không ạ?
I always felt like they should have just kept the boots for Cassiopeia because it would have been like a cute Toy Story reference.
It's still one of the best scenes in all of Toy Story.
Cho tôi xin phép anh em nhá, tôi đi có chút việc. Tí nữa có thể tôi quay trở lại, tôi ngồi tôi luyện thêm một tí. Anh em cứ ngồi xem nhá. Có gì thì tôi sẽ cố gắng comment lên khung chat để phím cho anh em một vài kèo. Tạm biệt anh em. Tí nữa tôi sẽ quay trở lại. Sorry anh em là phải có chút.
Kind of completely pressed right now, except for this top lane. As of yet for Weibo. JDG gonna find Rookie on the wrong side of town. Snake comes out of the bushes. He tries to go to the other side. He makes it out alive.
JDG thought about it. He wanted to use the flash there. Here's a fight. Okay.
If we get the double CC chain with the boomerang blade on top of Elk, I'm pretty sure he'll be fine. They will end up burning the heal. That'll be 2 summoner spells actually with the barrier burn by Photic.
A laning phase that I really feel like IG are kind of coming out clutch on right now. They're doing well enough in the bottom lane. You're down 10, but I don't think this matters when you're playing Sivir. You're going to just hoover up minion waves like a machine later on in the game. And even with all of that investment around this mid lane play, it means that Rookie's first back out of the map, and he gets to move into River here.
He's also going to move right into JJ's waiting arms. Not level 6 just yet for JJ, but the dragon has been started, and Rookie preemptive fight. They will get a little bit of vision play here. They find Elk. Elk tries to go. He does get away with the hop over the wall. That was so close to being devastating early for Weibo. Besides that, they'll just lose the dragon.
Round drag early. What else can JJ get? Because there are some camps spawning on the top side. He'll take enemy red buff. If he can get enemy raptors, that's great, but I think it's just going to be a red buff into some scuttle crab in the river. This is a problematic matchup. I mean, Aurora's whole kind of kit is based around her being able to deal a lot of extra damage around her passive. And Cassiopeia is going to be building a lot of mana, a lot of HP thanks to Rod of Ages and having that Seraph shielding. So if we can't see an early enough lead here from this champion from Rookie, I think that Cassio is going to be scaling quite nicely here in this game, despite some of my concerns.
Yeah, Rookie was maybe looking for a trade angle there, but ends up taking a brunt of damage. You do have Dway coming down the wave here. See if they want to try to get something pulled off, but it's going to look a little bit troublesome right now from IG's side of things in this mid lane. Chào, who has a pretty decent advantage, at least in health as of now. Both junglers going to be repathing back down through their jungle, back down towards bot side. We'll have Dragon for a little while, but I do expect them to turn back around to go for this Rift Herald in about 40 seconds.
I like this from Weibo, especially from Arhav with this Nico, just getting tons of information. As Weibo, you just went in the top side, he stole his red buff. You know that he doesn't have anything on top side, so get early vision, and they have essentially perfect information on Wei. They have a lot of his timers for his jungle camps, and they have an idea that he should be on the bottom side of the map here.
And it's calm, which hasn't necessarily been the case all series. Also, we just take a minute to accept this moment, as both teams really feeling a lot of respect for each other in this last game. At least not trying to push the tempo, not trying to push the mold any, not making too many risky decisions. But speaking of, we have full engage, 100-0. Down goes Arha, and that is a big pick. Gets the flash of Elk too, just preemptively to make sure that Wei wasn't going to publicly execute it.
Well, that is one of the ways you can punish. Usually, you know, when you're playing against Nico, you can try to poke her out because she doesn't have a lot of tank stats as a mage. And usually that's in the form of a Karma lane in the support role, but they're just doing it with this Leona, and they get a bonus on top of it. They get the flash out from Elk as well.
That's just crazy. He died 100-0 right there. Publicly executed is Xiao, who's going to try to flash away. Does try to get away. Does actually successfully do so with Arha's help. That's going to be his flash burn. You would have loved to save that for potential flash ult play, but that's not going to be the case now. Grubs should go the way of IG.
I don't know, because they just use a lot of buttons. Rookie's going to have to recall and teleport back in, and Arha just got level 6 off of that mid lane wave that he was able to soak. So this turns into Weibo picking up the Grubs on the top side, and that's pretty good. You have a Jax. Cassio now is going to be even more incentivized to be a strong side lane menace. I don't know who's going to deal with her later in the game at this point. This early game that I was hoping from IG is not really panned out in the same way that I think they were expecting. And we'll
cool.
get a look at what happened for Arha.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a tough angle. I mean, you're just not super tanky, and they have so much CC there.
Good layering from Jue. And again, the E over the wall, flash, maybe recognizing that there's going to be an Ibessa in his lane sooner rather than later. Okay.
Oh, they got the slowdown on Xiao Hu. I don't know if it's enough. Weirdning was not enough damage, and JJ was there to back him up just in case. Goes straight for the fight on the way. A little bit scared about that one. Elk's going to go ahead and pop the lightning crash, try to get Photic down. Does get the slow with the Ultra Shock laser. Doesn't get much damage on the back end of that one. That will be his lightning crash down. You did also get the on the hunt pop as well from Photic.
For me, I'm just trying to get waves right now. I'm just trying to push these into the enemy turret. 45 seconds before the dragon. Arha's getting vision down on the bottom side. You saw that Jue, he had moved over, but he doesn't have very many wards right now. This means that Weibo get to work with so much more info. This vision toggle from our observers can just show how empty it is. There's some pretty expeditionary wards coming in from IG, but nothing that gives them, I think, meaningful information on this upcoming objective.
Random minion comes from the bushes. You know something's up. And there will be a lot of farm that Photic is missing out on. Not able to have any support in that lane, but he will have Wei and Jue, the tag team duo, coming down towards bot side to relieve him just a bit. Going to get some of this vision back down ahead of this dragon spawning.
So no flash from Cassio coming into this play. Can we punish? That is the perspective of IG. It is more likely that they're probably not going to be able to touch this dragon, but they know that there's no flash on Elk or on Xiaohu. These are targets that I'm going to be looking for them to punish. Otherwise, now we're moving into a territory where, do we actually get to finish some of our quests a little bit sooner? Do we even potentially get to finish some of our items, right? Like, this Cassio is scaling this entire time. So is Sivir, but I would rather have a Cassio in this moment.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot more consistency from the side of Weibo's draft. The flash play from Zika, trying to get the kill on the Sabora, but doesn't end up getting it. There'll be both their flashes burned, both their ultimates burned. But it's just a lot more execution based for IG in these fights, whereas you continue scaling, some of these pieces for Weibo are just going to be too strong. Xiaohu maybe caught out here, but does have JJ there. Is stuck in place. Rookie gets knocked up by the 3-talon strike. Arha going to go for the flash play. Does lock down Rookie, but is it enough? They don't have enough damage. The Twin Fangs, it's not going to be it. JJ is the one that cleans up the kill, gets another one, and a little bit of recompense to his old team, IG.
Excellently played there from Weibo, and Xiaohu with the miasma completely stops Wei from making anything happen in that mid lane. So they'll get 2 kills. They'll even get the flash from Rookie and grab a dragon on top of that. Hey, let's throw in some mid lane plates for that as well. Weibo playing really, really cleanly around this mid jungle duo, and we haven't seen too much of Arha in this game, but I will say JJ is really making the Sins out pop. Let's take a look back at this one. Again, miasma perfect. Rookie has no damage. He has so few items this early on in the game that the early game damage we expect from an Aurora is just not there. And Arha with a flash, follow up with Pop Blossom, that's it. That's all your damage, and that's the fight going their way.
And it's just some of the capitalization, like the 3-talent strike there right in the middle of it, just locking them down, and some of that direction coming from JDG that we know and love. Also, shout out to Xiaohu, bring out the Cassiopeia. I called her for the draft. I think like the mobility defying moments with the miasma are so big against this squad, and it comes up paying dividends there. And now he's going to be closer and closer to his first item, still scaling on this Cassio, and see how much he can do to try to lead from the front like we asked for from the beginning. Him and JDG are going to be extremely important as this game goes on. About 1:20 for the next Rift Herald.
A lot of opportunity. I expect that this Weibo team is just going to be a organization that scales throughout this year. We talked about it at the very top of show, but we got to see the cam of the coaches. That was Coach Selen, who has been with the org for a couple of years now. They did bring in Coach Shine from HLE, and Coach Kim from this most recent Gen G run, hoping that they can kind of right the ship that has been a kind of floundering Xiaohu in the mid lane. So far, I think that they've been able to at least right what's gone wrong here in this series. That game 1 was abysmal, and since then it's been all peaches and rainbows here.
Yeah, apparently. That's all. You just need to wake up. It's like a slap to the face or a cold bucket of water. And then you just needed Elk to go 19 kills on a Kaisa. You're like, oh, yeah, wait, we have a carry? Holy
that's
hell.
LPL. It's the LPL Kaisa. You know, maybe some of these Korean coaches, they weren't ready for that. But, we brought them over. They're now getting to experience it very firsthand and not at an international event, which is probably a little bit nicer.
There you go.
So,
a little bit of vision contest coming out here in the top side jungle. Again, that Rift Herald is the next point of prize for both teams. A little bit of an advantage for Weibo, but how do you want to see this next fight play out?
moving into Grubs right now. There are now flashes back up here for Weibo. What is Saburo doing? Saburo's just dead. Oh my god, he has used the ult.
But now Wei has to run away too because he knows he doesn't have his support from the top lane.
Well, now we just lost the entire objective. All right, well, IG just completely...
Oh, the 3-talent strike comes in as he goes through the dash. He's going to go down. That's a big pick from Arha. Now they're going to turn back on to JJ, though, and try to take him down. Wei's locking him out. Rookie goes in, tries to get one, gets the Between Worlds kill onto him. He got the flash out as well. Meanwhile, the re-entrance from Weibo. They're going to find a kill onto Saburo. Now Elk is starting to pop off that lightning, shooting from his fingers while a double kill comes through for Zika.
Let's just get a free objective at this point. Maybe we even just fix our waves as Weibo Gaming. IG making a fair few mistakes here. Saburo especially, someone that is a bit of a newer prospect when we talk about playing in Tier 1 here in the LPL. Had a little bit of time on Fear X, but kind of having some more of those questionable games that we were looking at it from him. What exactly? Oh, it's his Sunfire.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Buddy. And then from here, like you mentioned, 3-talent strike in the middle of the knockup. Perfect. Also, look at the healing here from JJ. Goes down to about 600. Boom, gets Triumph healing. 3-talent strike plus his passive. And the damage from Rookie is great, but at this point, I think you have just wasted way too much to make good on this play. And talk about scaling. That Cassiopeia is picking up gold.
Left and right. And what's so crazy about this is we talked so much about their differing stories. These organizations in Demacia Cup, IG won the whole damn thing. They looked, Wei was running that team through the finish line. He's the MVP. And he was absolutely the MVP. And Weibo was struggling. They did not have a lot of series. Yet here, they showed the grit that you need. They showed that the LPL regular season is a different beast, and they are ready to roll. 2.5K up. It's been a little bit dicey. It's been back and forth a bit this series for Weibo, but they are still in control.
Photic, I think that is evil to use the faker Penku skin, emo. I think that's evil after what our boys just had to go through last year, okay? And the year before. And the year before.
Oh no, this Ambessa jungle just cannot catch a break. Elk finds his kill. And now that's right ahead of the dragon. That'll be second dragon for Weibo if they want it.
That's a free dragon, and they don't even have control of other lanes to even bother contesting for a topside Herald. Everything's just going from bad to worse, and for Weibo, I mean, you'll take these free wins at this point, but these were my reservations with this Ambessa jungle champion, and more of the way that we came to know for a large portion of the year in 2025.
Okay,
What the?
what
Brother,
the hell? He just
what
lost
the?
his mind, bro. All right, well, a cask will serve you well. Saburo gets a redemption kill there. And what I was going to go into next was talking about how isn't this just like what happens to these junglers all the time? If they are so aggressive and sometimes aggressive to a fault, they want to make plays, they want to be proactive, they want to do things. And unfortunately for Wei, he's not allowed to.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're 0-2 beforehand. You just don't have the damage, and we don't have the crowd control. We don't have the setup. Large portion of what we talk about, especially at pro play, is how you approach a fight and how you're able to create conditions that are successful for your team. A lot of movement on the mini-map we're seeing from Weibo as they go towards the top side here.
The poison.
Okay, this was just well played from Saburo. Like, I get this from Xiaohu. Like, you should be trying to squeeze the lemon that is this Gragas, but it's probably another reason why you shouldn't be playing into that champion. This is just the matchup you don't want to be in as Casio. Let's not even be in that spot.
Yeah.
Gonna make this dive out of Rookie Shine. It is just Arha.
It's fine for now. Tway will come support him there. Big one. Do want to check in on the item completions, as we are on 2.5 items almost, with no full boot completed there for Photic. He'll be looking for his 3rd item before he completes that. Yeah, the Rift Herald taken by Weibo here, uncontested. We're gonna be getting close to 2nd items for them. You got the AP Baus build coming through from Zika.
There we go. Dusk and Dawn. Okay, actually, this has some legs. I think this has some legs to stand on. You know, on hit, passive. It has attack speed. It's basically like New Age Nashor's Tooth, even though that item is still in the game, with obviously a Spellblade passive. Okay. And you get to actually build Zonias, which has been a very important item for Jax's in the kind of new age of this champion. So, okay, I can kind of see it. How much is this going to really be worth it? Because as Saburo, you're stacking a lot of HP, and there's not really a true tank on this team outside of the Leona. Obviously, supports are not going to have access to the same amount of resources as some of the laners.
It'll be a curious question as we come upon it. As really do want to see how this maybe changes the meta of this top lane, especially with the Jax variability that you have. El trying to get away is going to be in some trouble. Has no other exit tools but his flash, but gets publicly executed right on the other edge of it. The cast came through from Saburo as well. A little bit of overkill. Now they want to try to find the re-engage onto JJ. JJ's going to pop the Crescent Guard. Gets a little bit of damage help from Arha, but JJ tries to get over with the flash. Saburo will just follow him. 3 Talon Strike will go through though. Can they get him? He's got a lot of healing, but it's not going to be enough. Big man coming around, but it's going to be Wei smiting and taking him down for the kill.
Thankfully, if you are IG, you're saying, well, there's no dragon that we can take. We got a lot of kills in that instance, but Zika is just ruining this turret right now.
Dude,
that Spellblade pack, look at how much
turret?
attack speed he has.
What the hell, bro? Please bring back my good turrets, please. We've seen
Can he
turrets in
escape?
tier 2 melt. I do not.
I think he wins this, and Arha's on his way. He's as a minion right now.
He has flash. He's going to be the bait of a century. There's the Pop Blossom, and he's got all the time to take the Dusk of Dawn, doing so much damage. Wei doesn't hit the Zenith Blade, and now he's got the improved Blast Cone. My God, that's the greatest escape, and it's only Series 1. Zick is going to back in the bush with the ward, too, because why not?
And Xiaohu gets all of this top wave. He's going to be able to hit this turret if he really wants at this point. Really big win here for Weibo now. It was IG finding some of their members, and that could have been even worse with this Weibo play that followed. Zika making true on one of his iconic champions. This champion was one of the reasons why we were so hyped about him as a rookie going back to 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it was insane what he's able to do on this, and just the power it gives the teams that he plays on, LNG mostly, obviously. But when he can have that strength from topside, when he can have that Jax pressure that, oh, they're doing something across map, I'm going to go ahead and take all this gold in the side lane. And now we have about 30 seconds for the next dragon. This would be Weibo's sole point, and they're going to use the Rift Herald right ahead of it to take down this outer tower in mid.
Good planning here from Weibo. Let's just put ourselves in good spots. Again, create conditions that are going to be positive for our team here. They do have to contend with the fact that they have pushing lanes in every single one of them right now, so it's going to feel really good. This will be Weibo going on to sole point here, as long as IG don't contest, but Sivir's not clearing those waves fast enough, even on 3 items. Photic hit 3 before Elk did, and still doesn't have that same level of efficacy.
Saboro getting ran down here. Actually, JJ is the one that decides to pull up, and he probably just left Arhad to be in some trouble. Zika is going to be here to mock him up. Now Pop Blossom is here. Who is locked in the cage with who? Because I can't tell right now, but I think it's IG is locked in with Weibo, and Weibo is swinging fists left and right. Even Fangs, I don't know how they got that in there, but it's going to be a lot of damage going the way of IG. They do end up rebuffing Weibo just a bit. I do think they're going to collapse around this dragon and just take the objective.
Do IG look to punish? Because they are missing a ton of abilities at this point, but they don't have any waves to play around. They are still no turrets here at 24 minutes. The Phaelites are really doing a lot of work here for Saboro. You force out the ultimate from Xiaohu, but I don't think it matters. Elk is going to pop the lightning crash. Look to try to chase down Photic.
Elk is feeling spicy. I think he might go down for it. Does end up getting a trade kill back on the rookie, though. And now JJ will falter as well.
What are we doing?
IG do get a couple kills back. Now Zika's by himself. Goes for the flash play. Oh, my God. He got the delay on the spell shield. Takes out the AD carry, but will get his life.
Finally, turret's going to go down. This is the first turret of the game here for IG. If they can find Xiaohu, this is a huge win.
This is such a big momentum swing. Xiaohu not going to go down just yet. Saboro was locked up on the other side. But still a nice little shift from IG. They should be able to clean up a little bit more gold on the exit route here through the top lane of Weibo.
They'll grab jungle camps. That was also Photic going down. If Photic had lived, I imagine that could have been at least this mid-tier 2 or even the Baron. You can see that Elk is feeling really empowered because he has those Fiend Hunter bolts. Once he pops the Lightning Crash, those next 3 autos, if they are crits, they give him bonus true damage. He's trying to rip apart Photic here. He feels super empowered, but there's just no setup at this point. Arha doesn't have the Pop Blossom. They don't have too many plays. This is Weibo slowing down the game, which I'm not a huge fan of, I won't lie, but the fact that Zika is able to kind of get some on the back end of this play, and for me anyway, mostly just slow down the game and take away IG from going towards an objective or even pushing out some of these side lanes, which continue to be a reoccurring issue for this team.
Yeah, it really does. It's about just kind of cleaning house, if you will. Making sure you do all the chores needed. But we are reaching the crest of 3 items now for our AD carries. A little bit more ahead of the ball is Elk, but very close behind him is Photic. We'll be getting those 3rd items as well for the solo lanes coming up quick. And I think that's going to be another big precipice to fight off of. You still have a while till the next objective comes through, and a lot of reservation in these next few moments from both sides, realizing that this series relies on this game in the next few moments.
Thankfully, even regardless of the series result, there's a double round robin here for all of our groups, so we will see this matchup again. But, yeah, you know, you always want to set the tone, right? Getting the first win of the season, the first win of your season, I think especially kind of helps them. For IG, they're coming off of a pretty big win. I think they could take it. I think if Weibo were to lose this series, it does call into question kind of some of the expectations we have for this roster. And I say that with them having a 2,000 gold lead and soul point. It would take a miracle, but
it was higher before.
We have literally seen this iteration of the lineup lose with a soul. I think they lost with Ocean Soul in one of those Demacia Cup games. So I put nothing past them.
All right, Saboro going to take the Twin Fangs. Petrifying Gaze misses while he's in midair. Kind of a weird setup from Xiaohu trying to get that stun down. The rest of Weibo were here to back IG off. Some threatening around the Baron now, but I think it's just going to be a little bit of a dance for this vision around the pit here. You remember when that was illegal to do? You remember when we literally, I think it was Xiaohu, we had to pause the game because he was backing in a bush with the Nico clone? You remember that?
True.
I think that was the year before LPL died. I think it was 2020, 2024. Pretty sure. Maybe?
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was. It was hilarious, though.
Yeah, 2024 was definitely when it was Nico mid. Yagao was the GOAT on this champion, right? So I remember that. That Nico bug is still in the game, by the way.
It's great. It's
you're just not allowed to use it. It is actually something that the referees are very much like, you're not allowed to use this because it is an unintended mechanic. So you can use it at home. I keep trying to do it. I need to
keep trying.
Yeah, I mean, there's no league refs when you're in solo queue.
True.
So.
Not wrong. All right, we got about 35 seconds for the next dragon. This is Seoul. This is the big dog fight for Weibo if they want it, but they don't have to take it.
I think you do. I think you do. If you're Weibo, I think
you don't want
to
scale
take
some more?
this fight. Why? Who cares? I'm gonna get a either I get Chemtech Soul, or like I get another 5 minutes in this game. Like, I'm okay with that. If I'm being honest, I think the burden of scaling and the burden to try and win this game right now is on Invictus Gaming. They're the ones that need to prove to us that Photic is going to be that guy in this game. That even Rookie, who has had a quieter Aurora game, is going to actually be able to put out that damage that we were expecting.
Yeah, we got 4 items now completed for Elk. This is his time to shine. The item completion over the other side of things with Photic. A little bit of contestation going over the entrance to this dragon pit here. It's all gonna be about how things get added up together. Right now, Weibo gonna take primal position around the dragon. Could look to start this one up. Does give some room for the engage of IG. Late TP coming in from Saburo.
It's a very kind of lackadaisical TP here from Saburo. Again, the upgrade that you get, 30% max HP for 30 seconds, is nuts and should be used as a way to kind of move you forward and be a frontline tank. These are time ticking down. Rookie's on a flanking
Weibo's
spot.
not in the pit. It goes over. It's actually going to go away. He denies the soul. He'll die instantly. And Arha going for the big pop. Blossom finds 2. Rookie's still looking for his entrance on the back line, but can't find it. And now they have been scattered to the winds. Weibo Gaming take a 3,000 gold lead. They lose the dragon, but they're going straight to the Baron.
Well, you asked, you know, like, shouldn't Weibo want to be able to scale a little bit more? It's like, oh, well, you know, we have 5 minutes in this game, but yeah, we'll just get a Baron and we'll kill 3 members of their team. I think that's a pretty good win, you know, in my mind, even if you don't get the Baron, or you don't get the Dragon anyway. So, no soul, but still a very commanding lead that Weibo find themselves here in game number 3 of the series. And this Weibo is going to be, this Baron is going to be completely uncontested. Can IG grab a second turret? No, they're not going to be able to grab this mid-tier 2. Jax is going to completely cut that off.
It just feels so bad because it just feels like IG are not finding the angles they need for these fights. The composition itself has some good individual pieces, but it has not come together as a cohesive unit.
It's just coming at it from different angles. Like, once Saburo's on
like
the other side,
not doing anything.
Nothing. Sure, Rookie's not doing anything, Saburo's not doing anything, and what Photic and Wei want is a fight that is long and drawn out. You want to be able to plant your feet as Sivir and throw your spells. You want, as Mbessa, to publicly execute someone in the game and use your spells and use this Endless Hunger. This Endless Hunger item, I think, is a little unexplored. Actually, there's a video that LPL posted on their Weibo where it is Xiaohu and TES going over some of the new items. They place Endless Hunger as the worst item of the new batch. And this item is, you get ability haste based on how much raw AD you have, and if you kill someone, you get flat Omnivamp, which is pretty damn good, but it is very much a feast or famine kind of item.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we can kind of see that because it allows Wei to have more of these carry performances that we got from him in Demacia Cup.
Just can't do that if your solo lanes are not in the fight. They literally just ripped out the heart of IG there by taking down the damage dealers. And really just unable to do much. Now Weibo with this Baron buff are going to keep pushing, keep extending this lead. And now their eyes are set on this top side with the Baron buff minions up here. Double cannons as well.
Baron's going to make this so tough. Sivir does make it easier, but I can only lean on the Sivir talking point so many times before it becomes like a null at that point. So Photic will sit in top lane. He'll pick up this wave, and that's about it. Saburo's going to move himself down onto this inhibitor line right now. You can see that IG are kind of on their last legs in this game. They're 1 dragon away. That dragon bought them 5 minutes here in this one. They're going to need to do it again. and then potentially again if they want any hope. See in that picture-in-picture that Rookie did some pretty decent damage on Elk.
Not too shabby, but not anywhere near one-shotting potential there. Still have about a quarter of his health left. Ultra Shock Laser is going to be used. They're going to clear out this topside jungle of IG, steal away even more resources, and take down the top tier 2 turret. Rookie is a bit caught out here. He needs to be careful. JDG was looking for an angle, not going to capitalize on it. They do have the grubs, which makes the ease of turret taking that much more smooth. And they still do also have Zika pushing in the side lane. He's going to actually cheese away for some potential extra farm in the jungle if he wants to. And should just be the back off from Weibo on the top side, which will mean that Zika needs to be a little bit more careful.
I don't care about Zika right now. I care about putting vision. Like, Zika is the last thing that I'm concerned about. You see that Jway got 2 wards immediately here. They need to do more because all of Weibo, they put all of their vision on this top side of the map, and now they need to transfer this over. It's going to take time for them to do that, and this would be IG's perfect window to hopefully get themselves a good enough spot, something that they can play off of. Maybe it's this mid-wave. This incoming mid-wave is maybe going to be what they're going to use to springboard themselves into this fight in 40 seconds.
That's the important one. IG did buy themselves a lot of time, though, I gotta say, by stealing away that last dragon so they could give themselves this fight, and it's not over an Elder Dragon to potentially end the game. We did end up getting that 4th item completed there with the GA ready to go for both 80 carries. So got to think about that moving forward into these fights and how they might be looking to play a little bit more aggressive.
Sorry, brother. One of these champions has a completed LDR, and the other one is Sivir. Level 18 reached by our 80 carry on IG. Teleports means that we're just swapping around the roles here. Zico is coming over through one side. Can IG get another steal and still hold on here in this game?
Oh, they know they're getting flanked. They got to be careful. They just left Photic out to dry here, and they jump on him completely. Nobody's there to save him. The whole team is getting turned into mincemeat. Elk goes golden, and with that GA, we'll buy some time. Photic gets jumped on by Zika, and this is exactly where Zika thrives, cleaning up the scraps, heavering all of IG into his gullet. They're going to get the improved Blasco to give Rookie away, but that will be the dragon. That's soul to Weibo, and that's still a 6,000 plus gold lead for Weibo Gaming over IG in their first series.
Not only is Zika a great Jax player, but you look at what he's playing against right now, and even outside the counter lane matchup in this Gragas, which didn't end up doing all that much in the lane. Who is dealing with him, and how do you get around this champion? Because Sivir does not want to play against this champion. You can see it right here. You got a spell shield, that's nice. Here you go, knock up 3 Talon Strike, and you get Arha with this Pop Blossom. This is about as perfect as you can get as an engage, and the fight is just immaculate for Weibo Gaming.
I'm just wondering, is Saburo, because they both have the Sterix Gauge shield from the TP. Saburo put himself up in the dragon fight to maybe try to utilize that, but then they just did not man-mark Zika. They literally saw him coming, but Saburo was so far up into the fight that he was not able to body block, and that's just tough timing for IG in that fight, and beautiful execution from Weibo. Now Baron's coming up here.
Baron with a Kentex soul, like, who is ever killing this Jax, man? This Jax and this Cassiopeia, they are going to be hard marks to find here. IG backs against the wall, 7,000 gold deficit at 36 minutes here. We're thinking maybe these games would be a little bit faster. We have seen a little bit less action in between the jungles, but it's basically it.
Just a caveat, ADC players, feel free to look away. There's a level 20 Jax in the game right now.
Oh.
I understand how much PTSD there is there. Dway is going to get fully engaged on after he tried to go for his own engage. That's going to be an immediate pick on one of the pillars of IG's composition. Baron is up, and looks like actually a little bit of pinging going over there from JDG, but they're going to try to play around the vision here in the mid lane.
We are never contesting this Baron, just hard force down mid lane. Let's take this turret. Let's try to do something with this. The best way you can counteract the Baron is push the waves. We're going to go for the Baron. Wait, just steal it. Just do it. Come on.
There's no Atacon. We got to find a way to throw somewhere. There's going to be the cast, the public execution, everything used from IG. Will it be enough gas in the tank? Unfortunately, Elk is an ADC, and he dies. The Baron will end up going over to JDG, and that will just be the final gas tank used by IG. They did get a couple big picks. Zika is still a level 20 Jax. Again, ADC players, look away. He might actually end up going down here. Does still have the GA, by the way. He has Zanya's and GA because he's cool like that. Has his empowered back as well. And I think this is not going to end well for Photic. Does he find a way out? Okay, he's not spotted. Will he make it? It's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. Photic. Oh, he's dead.
I mean, this game's over. Like, Zika can push if he wants. It's a 60-second dead timer here for Photic. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Zika's just untouchable, man. Like, he still has his G. He's still just pumping damage.
Well, they're bringing in the bottom lane wave here. They're going to have double cannons with Baron buff. They're even having a mid lane wave escorted. Oh my god, Lennon, are we going to see an Elder? Are we actually going to see an Elder in our first series of LPL?
That'd be pretty
can't
sick.
believe it.
Okay, there's TP coming in. Xiaohu showing up against Rookie. Maybe they try to collapse onto Xiaohu early, but I think it's just tough. They're going to just wait for this mid push. And the crystalline growth has already started to wrap around the turrets here. I feel like those maybe should be tied into catch-up mechanics a little bit because they just take the turret like that easy with the buff.
There's a Demolish proc as well. Oh, all right, okay. 3 lanes pushing. There's a super minion starting to spawn on bottom lane. Inhibitors are being taken. This is the last gasp, as we talked about. Weibo, way too strong.
He goes golden. A little bit of pick on the Elk, but it doesn't matter if Elk goes down because the real powerhouse has been Zika the whole time. Level 20 Jax. He's going in 8-1 right now. He's looking for even more. And 4 members, rather, still up for the side of Weibo. And unfortunately, that's going to mean not many more left for IG. They had a triumphant game number 1. They are the Demacia Cup champions, but Weibo say this is the real deal. This is the LPL regular season, and they will come away with their first win.
And for JDG, we talked about, being formerly on this IG roster. Was it revenge or is it confirmation that they did better? IG made it to Worlds, and it's going to be up to JJ and the rest of this Weibo team to kind of right the wrongs of a bad 2025.
And what a comeback, man. Game number 1 looked so damn good from IG, and it wasn't even one person from Weibo popping off for the rest of the series. You had Elk doing his job, going in immaculate 19-kill game in that game number 2, and yet Zika in this game number 3, he was just completely unanswerable. Just nobody can touch him. And you saw it coming from a mile away with the way that Weibo drafted.
Hey, he got his iconic champion. I think we got a lot of points to kind of go through once we, have some tape a little bit later on this week, see how Weibo are doing. It feels like they got some of their iconic champions, but can they replicate this against some of the other top teams? Because IG, I think they're expected to do very well, at least in Split 1. We'll see how this looks with Mako potentially joining back later on. But what do they look like versus an Anyone's Legend? What do they look like versus a BLG? Maybe even a JDG, depending on how they look as well. What does this team look like against a top-level LPL roster? That's going to be my kind of real test for them to see whether or not this has the mettle and the gumption that we're going to be expecting.
And I'm very curious at the stats from this one. I'm very excited to kind of look through what we think, not only for MVPs, player of the series, all that good stuff, but I got to see Zika's stats, man. I feel like he was doing disgusting things. I wish we could see tower damage, because how quickly he took that tier 2 in bot side is disgusting.
It's not just him, by the way. All Sheen champions do this, by the way.
Yes,
if you play Trundle, he deletes these turrets. There are a lot of different champions that can get away with this right now.
Bad times to be a turret. I guess maybe it's always been, but it's worse now. I don't think turrets have ever come out the winning side.
Turrets were a lot stronger, mostly because
the laser beams.
The laser beams are very annoying. I hated those.
They were so annoying.
But turrets have been through a lot. Turrets, they had to survive through the Akali shrouds. They had to survive versus the Fioras that we had for a very long time. Fiora, Akali, Aurelia.
They keep getting remade into different versions of themselves.
I think that these are probably the most awkward looking turrets we've had in a long time.
Agreed.
visually speaking.
But you know it's not awkward, or maybe it is more awkward, the fact that Weibo won this first series, because it just
it's definitely awkward.
A complete weird spin on what this Weibo team can do. Like, what is the possibility? You could be the best of the best. You could go to Worlds. You could go to the finals again somehow.
Pause. We are in January. We are not talking about Worlds right now.
Dude, first game Andes. That's what they call me. I don't know.
So I'm looking at Weibo's schedule. They're playing BLG next, which, if I remember correctly, is going to be tomorrow. So immediately, we talked about getting tests. That's an express shipment to hell right there. They're getting top esports in week 2, AL and JDG. So all in all, I think they will be going up against the top of the table here, and that'll kind of be, I mean, that's BLG's first game going into the season. So I don't know. I'm also really interested for kind of teeing up our next series, top esports. What is their team going to look like, right? Like, they got a lot of new pieces, very unsure about what's going to be going on for this lineup going into 2026, what their aspirations versus reality is going to look like.
I'm very curious at what that second series is going to be looking like as well. Just to see what these iterations of these teams look like in the regular season, at least. That's going to be very curious. If you, I know we're still like looking for stats and stuff like that. If you kind of had to give a Game 3 MVP, does it just go to Zika?
I think it does. And maybe instead of looking at specifically Game 3 as like a singular game, let's open it up to like a MVP of the series.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of discussion around certain players. Like Game 1, we were really down on Xiaohu. Game 2, we're talking about Elk, obviously, as a big performer. I think Elk across all 3 games was probably the most solid generally.
Yeah, I could say that. I think a lot of those smites, even in the losing games, were super, super interesting. And especially the way they kind of controlled the game itself. And I don't think that Wei had necessarily like the worst series, but it's interesting nonetheless to think about what these junglers, like what that next matchup is going to look like after a little bit of time with these teams. And I do believe that they have just gone straight to an interview with Elk, which is absolutely hilarious. Which means we don't get any of the post graphics, who the MVP is. Hopefully we'll be able to post that later on. But I do believe, do you have any last thoughts on this series between Weibo and their first win of the season?
I'm really happy for them because it would have been really disappointing to see this Weibo team end the year on a disappointment, failing the regional finals versus Invictus Gaming, and now coming back into the year, starting off with a win, beating that IG team. I think it's a good note for them to start on. IG will obviously bounce back, or at least we're hoping so, but I'm really glad because this could have been the start of a very tragic year for some Weibo fans.
It definitely could have been. I think it's a tragic year for IG fans, unfortunately. But hey, we're trying out something new here on LPL English for our 2 series days. We're actually going to be swapping out the casters to get a little bit more breadth of room with our wonderfully new signed talent. So after this little break that's coming up, we'll have Top Esports versus JDG with Slayer and Melvin for Melvin's first cast of the regular season of LPL. Should be an exciting one, and Alkit has been a pleasure. Make sure you give shout outs to Kai, leading production for the whole day, and we'll see you on the other side of this for what is a banger matchup.
LPL English faithful, how I have missed you. Yes, it is I, Slayer, back for the LPL in 2026. But most importantly, my co-caster for today. And a very warm welcome I hope everyone gives in chat. It's Melvin Izzle, Melvin Callum. Most importantly, my co-caster for today. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second series of the first day of the LPL in 2026. Top Esports, JD Gaming. But I want to give you a second here, Melvin. Welcome to the LPL English crew, my friend. How excited are you for the year ahead?
I don't think I could be more excited, especially given the season and the changes we've just had. This feels like peak LPL hours right now.
Yeah, well, you know, for my clock, right? Because I know me and you have got a lot of hours separating us, right? It's definitely peak LPL hours on my clock for sure, and it's definitely peak LPL gameplay that we have coming when we have these two teams set in front of us. No matter what year you're talking about, Top Esports, JD Gaming, whatever players on the Rift, whatever season, it's going to be awesome. And that is what we have in store today, coming in from Beijing. Home game here, technically, for JDG in this one. But as we have to quickly get through things before the series gets set here, Melvin, let's start talking about those rosters, because both of these teams are much different looking than they were in 2025. We'll start, obviously, with the Top Esports side and introduce their new look roster for, I don't want to say the whole year, but at least SPLIT1. We'll get to that in a bit here. 369, though, is the mainstay in the top side. Nayo fills in the big shoes as Kanavi departs the LPL. Cream still stays in the mid lane to round out the same solo lanes. And then it's Jachi stepping in for Jackie Love for now, and Fengwei in the support role. So a lot of new names there, and like I kind of alluded to there, Melvin, a lot of big shoes to fill.
Absolutely. We didn't get to see either 369 or Cream play during the Demacia Cup. We got to see the rest of this roster, though, play exactly one series before getting knocked out by IG. So, not exactly got a lot of good footage on how this team is going to really show up today. So it's a really big statement series to open up the year for them.
Yeah, I really want to hone in a bit more, not just for Nayo, but we could also talk a bit about the jungler on the other side when we talk about JDG in this series. And that's kind of just going to be the expectations that are going to be put in front of us for these two junglers in particular, playing on teams where, I mean, just look at it, right? Like, you all at home know what Kanavi brought to the table last year. I'm sure many of you know what XUÂN has done, not just for JD Gaming, but thinking about his time with Billy Gaming in the past, obviously back over there now for the 2026 season. As awesome as Jujia was in Worlds, right? As amazing as Nayo looked at points for NIP in Split 3 of last year, these are huge spots to fill for any players, and this is, you know, like the classic moon landing, one small step for man. This is one big leap for both of these junglers on these two teams.
Absolute legends that you're taking the place of at this point. And so, especially with, when we take a look at all the big changes, we'll get into them as we get closer and closer to the game, but I think the most relevant one for now is junglers kind of got not a lot, really, on the scale of things. You got a better smite, and a lot of the power got really injected into the laners, the solo laners and the bot laner in particularly. So it's going to be even harder for these two to come in and take the spots of such massive players and then try and show what you've got to actually offer when your role has been kind of muted slightly this year.
And then you talk about, like, team dynamic on top of that stuff, right, Callum, where it's like, if you're Nayo, like, Kanavi is was the loudest voice for Top Esports last year. XUÂN, a huge driving engine of JD Gaming last year as well. So these young guys, these new faces having to fill in for those voices in the comms, it's going to be very interesting to see how they develop throughout the year. Let's stop dancing around the JD Gaming roster, though. I know this is a very hyped roster for a lot of reasons. One, we have a ton of JDG fans as always, but there's real thing as Worlds hype, even if we are in January. I'm talking about Worlds in the past, not Mazel already talking about Worlds 2026 in January. It's Worlds 2025, and that was headlined by those two guys you see in the jungle and mid scenarios. Junja and Hongkyu coming over from the Flying Oysters, teaming up to come to JD Gaming. They've got the one remaining player from 2025 JD Gaming, Xiaosu, in the top lane. Gala now comes over from IG as a big-time AD carry, and one of the most polarizing supports in the league here, Melvin. Vampire to pair up with them. So much variance I could see in this team. So much glory, so much shaky. I don't know how to gauge this team so early on into the split.
And even though we got a fair bit more footage of them throughout the Demacia Cup, I think that even now, it's kind of hard to say exactly where the team is going to come out. We've got a bit of Hongkyu B-roll going on in the background. This was such a high-quality pickup for JDG, and somebody that kind of was running the off-season a little bit, deciding where they would go, getting to pair up with their jungler of a year in Junjia is even more important as well, to add a bit of stability. Thing is, though, on that CFO roster you've got in the background right now, there is Doggo, who we did see have similar incredible performances, come over to the LPL, and then not really show up in the same way we expected him to, the way he had shown on International. And so now, kind of similar expectations on both Hongkyu and Junjia, because if they end up having a similar performance to their former ADC, it's going to really throw this JDG roster through a loop, because if you don't have a winning mid-jungle, which this team is expected to have in most scenarios, the team just kind of falls apart. Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought up Doggo, because a comparable AD carry, I feel like, with everything you've talked about with Doggo, I do feel like Gala kind of fits that bill sometimes, right? Like, where if he's playing with it's like a confidence guy, right? When Gala's confident, disgusting things he does on the Rift. He is like, he puts in case for best AD carry in the region. But there's that inconsistency, right? There's that shakiness. So Gala here next to, like you talked about, two former Flying Oysters. There are going to be games where Gala fully takes over. There are going to be games that disappear. This is where I talk about, right? There's a lot of variance with JD Gaming. And that's why I'm curious to see, as you talked about, Callum, off of Demacia Cup, where I felt like they looked a decent bit rusty. How hard of a swing are they going to come out with against top esports? Again, a marquee matchup. They will play twice, like you heard Mazel and all talking about before. But you want to start out with a statement for either one of these rosters with a bunch of new players. It's taking down a Titan organization in a series. Either JD Gaming or top esports, whoever comes out on top. And one of the names we haven't touched on yet, because it wasn't on any of those screens, is somebody you don't often think about, the coaching staff. JDG picking up Tabe, who had took AL to such high highs last year. What can they do constructing this roster? How can they really bring those interesting drafts that we saw kind of just signify AL above the rest in a lot of scenarios? I want to see how they cook with this new season. There's a lot of stuff unlocked and a lot of funkiness you can bring into the game that kind of can come from every role, especially with how many individual powerhouses this JD Gaming roster should have. Xiaoshu in the top lane, carry player, looked very good on Zehen throughout the Demacia Cup. I'm curious to see what they end up prioritizing as we start to really look towards the drafts, and the fact that now we have first selection instead of just side select. Yeah, and it does feel like, at least early on, we expect to see, you know, first selection kind of dominate. I wouldn't be shocked to see that come around here. But I'm glad you brought up Xiaosu, because I do think, you talk about the Zehen, but we just saw Zika have a disgusting Jax game. This guy's a pretty big Jax player, I would say, in a lot of regards. And going back to talking about all these, you know, champion changes, it's funny to me. I'm glad you're here to talk about, Cam, because I feel like in some capacities, top lane, for one, is maybe one of the most overpowered roles in the sense of how it's been buffed, but I feel like there are capabilities to be such a great carry top lane player, but also some of those tanks I know you think are still pretty disgusting. I mean, all I'm saying, Ornn exists in the game right now. With accelerated leveling, he can chuck a lot of gold on his team for really not much. On top of that as well, kind of a tank, kind of a bruiser. Listen, I know I'm speaking early. Xiaoshu's played one game of Volibear, and I'm pretty sure he is absolutely disgustingly broken on this patch right now. So, you know, maybe it's a bit of an early call-out shooting your shot, but when we start to think about the big tanks that we know have been existing, like the Sion, the Cassante, then there is a natural answer that comes to that. in the form of Gwen, something we know 369 can pilot and want to see if Xiaoshu can match with, as I would be really surprised if we don't see any of those big tanks show up in the first games of this Fearless draft.
All right, I'm keeping notes for you over there, Mel. We'll see which one of those end up showing up as we are getting set here for the first player introductions for these teams as they make their walkouts into the Beijing arena. It's interesting, right? Because these aren't actually. I want to play a fun game with you, Melvin, for these walkouts. We saw, every year we get new look jerseys. We're actually don't get to see them just yet. Okay, we get to see one of them because they're wearing the nice, I guess windbreakers, I would call them. Yeah. I want to hear your grades on these two teams' jerseys because I put out a video grading every single one of their jerseys, and I know we're just starting this caster bond that we hopefully will be building on across the year, but I want to see how aligned we are. And as I say that, Top Esports are wearing their jumpers, so you don't even get a look at the jerseys that I want you to grade. That doesn't really help us.
I mean, we could go off of the windbreaker hoodie kind of things going on right now.
Sure, let's do it. Yeah.
I think you're talking to the lowest quality fashion expert that you could have on the broadcast right now. I'm going to say I'm currently leaning, if we're judging it based on windbreaker quality, I have to go with JDG here. I feel like, especially when you want to be wearing a jacket, that feels like it's a bit more appropriate to me.
Okay, so Nayo is wearing the jersey. So that's the jersey over there. So I'll give you my takes.
I'm zooming and enhancing.
Okay, yeah, you can try and enhance. I'm sure we'll get a player. Oh, there they are. All right, soak it in. There you go.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I'm still leaning JDG personally.
Okay. So I'm leaning Top Esports. I'm curious if this bothers anybody else though. The word top being like indented further than esports, that's what throws me off a little bit. I don't get what the appeal of doing that is. All right, you know what? Let's not go down that rabbit hole, right? It's the first broadcast. Let's set up for talk to me more about side selection and the power that first pick brings you, especially even if you now can get that on red side, Melvin.
Yeah, so one of the big changes that have come in, we had Fearless introduced last year. Everybody's had a bit of time to get used to that. Now we have first selection replacing side selection. What it basically means is now you can have first pick, but be on the red side. One team, whoever would have previously had side selection, gets to choose either which map side they're on, or if they get first versus last pick. And then the other team gets to pick the other one. So theoretically, you could still see red side with last pick, but it's been far more common that we've had a lot of teams picking first pick and then being shuffled over to red side. So I'm imagining that's probably what we're going to get. We're still very early on into the process. With some time to iterate, I think there's a lot of potential. You were talking to me about Misfortune champions like Ziggs as well, who really prefer red side. If you're planning on drafting them, it is something that could become relevant, especially because if there was a team I thought that could bring out some deep level thinking on this early, it would be JDG. They have two Ziggs players in Honkyu and Gala. They have Tabe. Maybe they've cooked. It might be a bit too early, but we'll have to see what's in the oven.
There's always the prevailing theory too of right, like, don't necessarily show the whole deck of cards you got available to you. So it might be kind of bland and boring. Maybe we were talking about it a bit, that first Weibo IG draft, like, you could have convinced me that was a 2025 LPL draft because of how stock standard it was to last year. Maybe that's what was going on. Who cares now? Here we go. Game 1 draft, everybody. JD Gaming, Top Esports, and we'll get to see that first selection go into play here. But we'll get through the bands first here. Callum, anything standing out to you that really screams? I see the Jace for the Jace jungle, yes. I would say. All right, there we go.
I was waiting for that one. Malphite's another big one that's been getting a lot of early priority. But if you want to early pick Malphite, you need to ban Sylas. We have two melee mid players, so I doubt, unless we see JDG ban the Sylas and then hand over the first pick Malphite, I don't think we're seeing it in the first rotation just yet. It could obviously come up on third pick for JDG if that's the direction we want to go down. If they want to pick up that Malphite, it is something we've seen Junjia play a little bit of throughout the Demacia Cup. But Akali, another big one. We've got Gunblade back in the game. Some of these mid lane assassins could go a bit crazy. The Ambessa, this is a mega flex between top and jungle right now. It's 100%. Been a bit of hit or miss in the jungle, but when it can get to level 20 in the top lane, yeah, it's a bit silly actually.
I'd love to see them throw the fake out, right? you pick this early with the first pick red side. It's like, all right, probably jungle. But 3-6-9, I feel like can throw down such a good Ambessa. Hopefully we'll see them kind of fake out that jungle swap. Holy team fight oriented swing here from Tabe though. Even people are a little bit lower on Nico in this new season. Pop Blossom Shockwave combo, scary, Melvin.
If I don't see a Nocturne on 3 from JDG, I feel like something's gone awry here, and I think this is a very reasonable hover for Cream. Be able to push away a lot of the mega engage that will ultimately be flying at you, regardless of which champion you pick up here. So now, with the Nico locked in, you're kind of inclined to want to pick up a support here to avoid getting double banned on the second rotation. Thinking about what could be a decent option here, Blind, maybe something like the Bard. Might not be going down that chain of thought though, just deciding to show its Ambessa jungle, confirm the entire top side of top esports. Don't know if I'm super happy with that, but it is the top lane champion, you know, one of those big tanks we were expecting to see of the day.
And before we get one of the most hyped, I would say the most hyped import into the LPL in 2026 is, you know, lock-in of a champion here to round out the first phase JG. I really want to emphasize one more time, look at how many new names are on these two staple orgs. Watch out for who wants to make a name for themselves very early on, especially knowing how tumultuous and turnover heavy some rosters can get at the top for the LPL. So seeing that Malphite get slammed, put in the jungle, man, you thought Nico Oriana was scary. Just throwing down the Malphite too. Ball delivery system expedited. That's what I've got to say.
And added benefit, unless we see Fergie pick up the Silas support, you don't need to ban that anymore, because you've already shown all of your top side, so no potential. Silas got to go on in any of those roles relatively happily, but not going to have to worry about it. We do see the Kai'Sa banned away. We know that crit marksmen have really been running the patch at the moment. Zeri, a really big threat. Outside that, Caitlyn doing quite well. When we look at how we're going to play with this Nico, I think that we're probably just going to see another trade of bans, potentially something like the Brom taken out of the waters by JDG, matched with another... trying to think of what other dive ADC. You might see the Zeri knocked out of here by TES.
I have to see Alistar going to be...
Don't mind that.
Yeah. Smart ban to throw down here. We'll see if... I would like to see a Zeri respect ban given away. I think, you know, Yunara is also still obviously a sneaky pick. LPL, it seems early, LPL marksmen are a little bit more favoring of... really either. Both of them just so good with that new ultimate ability haste. Marksman item makes your first 3 autos disgusting. Zahen, though, is going to be the ban here. So what do JDG... I know it's still going to be a little funny to look at on blue side, but what do they want to pick now to guarantee that blue side B5 counter pick? God, Callum, it's gonna be weird for me to get that lingo back down.
Theoretically, you just want to slam a top laner here, but instead they are leaning towards just taking the Yunara off the table.
This guy got the first Yunara pentakill ever in the world, by the way. Just saying, if this gets locked in.
Yeah, no, it's Gala. He had a bit of an here and there. I felt like his form during the Demacia Cup was not as consistent as we would expect from Gala. Still had plenty of highs, but had far more lows than I was ready for. I'm hoping that was just, it's Demacia Cup, guys. Let's see what happens when we get into the season proper. Interestingly enough, Aphelios has kind of slipped through the bans right now, not really being valued as high as he is in the solo queue card tier lists. Jhin, it's an option. It works nicely when you have the Ambessa for the chain up. You get the public execution into that Jhin route, and one target just isn't allowed to play the game. Going for the Rel, a lot more conventional, enables you to go for that engage, but I'm here or there on what TES put together. It's cohesive, it works. But now, with last pick over to JDG, I'm curious where they want to take this one. Please don't just be basic Renekton.
You know, let's see here, right? Because we talked about it. Xiaosu knows he's got a pretty decent matchup into a tank. All right, gonna throw the Renekton down. Listen, it is boring. It is boring, Callum, but it does kind of fit this like all-in team fight style of this comp, right? That like Tabe is saying top esports, Baron Pit, Dragon Pit, mid lane, first turret. We're throwing hands, all right? You do not get to take things on this map for free, and if we're rocking up together, good luck beating this comp.
And it is one of the things we kind of... One part of the identity that both of these rosters showed at the Demacia Cup was, if there is an objective, we are going there. Yep. It was something that CFO had a lot in their identity that we've seen both Honkyu and Junjia bring over pretty much immediately. TES, even with limited games and without their solo laners playing in Demacia Cup, showed that they loved running at objectives and trying to sneak them, try right-click them on cooldown. And with tankier objectives, Baron back at 20 minutes has that resistance shred now. He got it back from Atakan, it was on loan. You know, there's a lot of potential for some mega chaos here, so that's probably, like you were saying, where the logic in a Renekton comes in. We just need to get the snowball going and then trust these players to roll it all the way to the finish line.
Well, we are certainly trying to build a snowball to turn into an avalanche for glory, if you talk about these two organizations in their new eras. Top Esports, approaching a year ago now, it's hard to believe, SPLIT1 champion organization, representative at first stand, would like to repeat that once more. And JD Gaming really just looking to kind of usher in a new era after a very disappointing year here. But talking a bit more about the compositions, I want to pick your brain on the Jhin pick, because I feel like Jhin is such a polarizing pick. It's like, it's got to really fit the scenario to pick it in a game like this, but that's what Jachi's rocking as we get onto the Rift.
It was something that we saw him play, and it was not the best performance in Demacia Cup, but again, it was a 4-game sample size, one Jhin game. Thing is, we have seen now, one of the most important parts of the patch is that crit damage went up, back from 175% of your damage dealt to 200%. So crit carries, quite happy. Jhin, renowned for having quite large critical strikes. So I think if there was a time for Jhin to be doing a bit more damage than expected, to be able to get through some of the tankier champions, this is it. There is a Malphite, which obviously problematic. So you're hoping that we can have Cream cover up for that and really be the AP DPS. So if there was a Jhin game, this is it. It's fine. I'm not a big lover of Jhin in pro play, but we've seen players like Ruler get it done both in the LPL and the LCK. You can do a lot of damage if you get to late game, and now with 6 item slots, once you complete the ADC quest, yeah, you can restack the AD quite high, actually.
Yeah, I like that point, right? It felt like into this JDG comp, Chachi, no matter what he picked, it was going to be a hard time outside of lane, so the Jhin, a good little number, especially the way he's been able to kind of punish Vampire and Gala, force him to trade a lot of his health econ to contend in this wave, as Top Esports will also have the support of Nayo coming down towards this bot side, so definitely going to keep the pressure up here to the max. And we heard our two casters on the first series talk about it a bit here, Gallum, but the speed that these junglers can just fly through these camps, it really opens up a lot of caution for a lot of these lanes. I wasn't really going to talk about the mid lane, but all right, Hongq, already forcing Cream out of lane early, going to have to expend that teleport.
Not bad. We did get to see in one of the B-roll Hongq clips him bullying TES last year, with Cream being one of the recipients of that damage. So it is something that these players have actually played against each other a handful of times, with Hongq having pretty good performance thus far. It's just the basic starter lane phase, though. At the end of the day, there's 2 level 6 demons in the jungle, as we see Nayo showing himself.
What about level 4 demons fighting over Scuttle Crab? Callum, this is the LPL right here. We fight over Scuttle Crabs. We need to crash down, engage. Flash war for Chachi. Chunja is cut down. First blood secured by Nayo as he tries to make his statement into the jungle first in our big Titan matchup. Top Esports on the board.
Okay, we do see
a bit
Gala
more.
Vampire.
Tangle Barb. There we go. I think Gala should have enough damage and will be able. Vampire picks up that kill. Fengwei cannot find the trade. And just like that, we're starting the seesaw. It's JDG's bottom lane to answer the first blood.
Head in my hands at the end of that one. Yeah, Top Esports had a lead and decided, let's go hard mode. A nice initial play that we got to see coming out there. Nayo really flexing on this Ambessa. I was saying level 6 threats because the Malphite doesn't do a lot until then. He's just a guy. He's not stacked armor.
He's just a rock.
Yeah, like, what do you want him to do here? He can slow some attack speed. Ambessa only needs to get 1 hit at a time to keep the passive rolling, so it is what it is. And then, let's see what actually happened here to keep this fight elongated. Just the tag from the... Yeah, alright, just the Barb's tagged, and then a pretty tragic flash at the end here.
Yeah, that. Oh,
yeah, it was worse the second time. It was worse the second time.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you were talking about the Gala flash into the crash down. Hold on, there's a crash down. All right, Gala, there's a good, nice dodge. Get away from that engage. Remember everybody's first series of the. Oh my God, honk you. All right. Listen, I saw this at Worlds against BDD, and it did not end well. So let's. Oh my God, guys, let's suspend the heart attacks at 5 minutes. It is the first game you're playing on stage, and neither of them are willing to back down at 50 HP. And we're back to the bottom lane immediately. All right, I think things are slowing down, but Melvin, you're starting to get the picture of what to expect in the LPL, huh?
Most definitely. And part of the reason that I was saying I'm so excited to be here for this season in particular is because it's such a volatile time to play League of Legends. You know, there's going to be a lot of trading like this. That's standard issue, but
oh my God, the junglers are back. They're not level 6, they're level 5, and they still want to throw down. And there you see exactly what Melvin was talking about, how little impact Malphite can have. Oh, we have top laners. I forgot.
Oh my God, they exist.
We haven't panned up here all game, so I forgot they were here.
Wow, good job, guys. We do have Xiaoshu coming up with a pretty decent CS lead at the start. You know, it's Renekton hours. Kind of what we want to see. We need to see a bit of a lead coming out before the Cassandre hits mega late game, as there is a dive set up here, but there's no minions, so I don't love it.
Yeah, also, that's just a level 5 at best. I feel like this is a really forced issue. Now, Nayo, we get a little bit cornered. Junja is, like, hanging around just to make sure his bottom lane doesn't get dove. I feel like there's a decent amount of time being wasted by both these junglers who we talked about kind of have accelerated clears in the new game.
Well, that's the thing. It's not exactly wasted because all the camps were down. And so normally, because everything got sped up by 30 seconds except for the objectives, you finish your second clear, assuming you do 2 basic full clears, standing in front of the Dragon Pit at about 5 minutes. Now, when both bot lanes are alive, you know, a bit of trading in mid, when both bot lanes are alive, you kind of want to influence that to then be safe to go up to the Dragon. So I think we're seeing what will be a trend throughout the year of both junglers kind of just trying to overforce a play bot lane, because they know, I can't start Dragon, it's a Malphite, but you could still walk at me and hit me on the thing. It's an Ambessa, I can't walk at there as Junjia, so it's like, what do? You kind of just sat around with not much to force, especially if you're a level 6 jungler who now, we have both of them online. A lot of engage potential has just appeared in pretty much anywhere that we see them walk. So I think this first dragon fight, as we see expected, Nayo immediately right-clicking in that direction.
Yep. I like this, though, too. I don't know how much info they have on where Junja went with his clear, but he has a lot of camps to clear top down. So nice little window found for Nayo. Again, really want to emphasize how a year ago today, Nayo was not a starting jungler in the LPL, and now he's commanding a lot of the leadership duty on this top esports roster, a much younger roster than it ever was last year, with no Jackie Love, no Kanavi. It's a much fresher bottom lane, and Nayo already showing in little spurts that he's willing to step up and make the calls, gets that dragon for free. That's a nice feeling for top esports.
And it's always easier to take a player who wants to force the ticket and wind them back in to get some level of responsibility, some level of kind of respect, than go the other way. So I'm glad that we're seeing Nayo actually trying to get the tempo going, because one of the things we've seen pretty much from the limited sample size of the season so far is you accelerate so quickly as these quests go through, as you accumulate those wins.
Here we go, that teamfight threat. Vampire gets the flash out of Jachi. That's a nice trade you'll take if you're Vampire.
Yep, I think Junjia would like to know your location, Mr. Jin, and
yep.
It's really just going to be a case of now having to play super respectfully. So we do actually have both junglers hovering around mid. This crystalline overgrowth, Honku really wants to proc
Cream gets hit by the shockwave. Junja, Soppel force, he's gonna chase over the wall. He sees Nayo flashes on top of Cream's head and deletes him. He's not a rock anymore, he's a boulder throwing down. Poking execution from Nayo gets him back under turret. Handy use of that Ambessa ult, but man, Junja, what a statement for his first kill in the LPL.
Much better than the Malphite ults I saw from him in the Demacia Cup. That is encouraging that he has got the hang of flying like a lunatic. And it should pretty reasonably convert into a grub start. We do have, just checking, that is Vampire. Always got to verify when you see an icon on the minimap which person it actually is when Nico's in the game. Currently just the one secured by the looks of it. There's no more feats of warfare, so while grubs are quite important just because of how much gold you can drain from hitting towers, it's not one of those super high priority things, especially with wanting to be in lane to accumulate those stacks. I'll be honest, we could just let this play in the background because it was just good use of ultimates. Honky winning out the lane phase again, and Junjie, perfect, lockdown, easy peasy. And I think that the fact that you have to burn the Ambessa ult there really does mean that TES can't force something proactively in the meantime. You would want to go hunting for Junjie knowing that there's no Malphite ult, no flash available, and potentially pick up a kill on him, speed up your Ambessa's scaling, get her to that level 6 or that level 11 mark even, and increase the percentage pen that she gets once she levels up the ult a few more times to match the amount of armor that we're going to see stacked for this Malphite.
Right. Great thing to call out and track going forward. I'm glad that Vampire has allowed me to talk about the fact that counting minions for Nico is going to be a lot funnier now. If you're not aware, when a cannon wave comes out, you lose a melee minion now. So you do have to do a little bit more extra math on the Nico check. Don't need to do any math on this. There is the unstoppable shockwave, as we'll call it. That's the Flying Oyster combo now in the LPL, folks. 2 ults, 1 dead mid laner, but it's Fungway looking for the turn back in a double crash down into the public execution. Vampire is dead, and Junjie doesn't have any damage left to trade that out, so both these teams finding ways to kind of scrap back after losing a member.
Much better for TES than last time. At least they managed to get a return kill, and it was off the back of the Ambessa, getting more gold into that pocket. Already picked up the Eclipse, specifically in these early team fights where we would expect JDG to be a bit stronger. Got the Inara, got the Orianna, and particularly this Renekton when it comes to the full-on team fights. JDG should be favoured in these early fights. So if you can snowball Naya, if you can continue to pour gold into that Ambessa, it could give a chance for this person sitting in Kanavi's chair now to kind of make it their own.
He's going to have to, because mid lane is kind of a travesty. I know a lot of hype fan. Oh yeah, give me the cinematic replay. World stage now to Beijing. Hongq and Junjie, same old duo. Gotta love it. My point being here is the fans are definitely loving it. Look at that gold difference in the mid lane we got going on here, Callum.
Yes, pretty good. And with only, what is that, 2 plates collected thus far from Hongq, none knocked down from Cream. I think now's probably a good time to talk about this pseudo comeback mechanic of the crystalline overgrowth. If there's a kill that comes out of this, I'll be very surprised. The Malphite ult's up in 2, but yes, okay. Do I have a moment?
Oh, Gala. No, you don't. Transcended to Gala, flashing forward after Jachi. One more of those should do it, and that's the Gala we know and love here around the LPL. You give him an inch, he takes a mile.
Very solid stuff, building up a lead, and is now excellent transition for me, Gala. Go collect some of that crystalline overgrowth. It's one of the ways that you can snowball ahead, complete your quest quicker. Go on, take it
Vampire.
away.
Yeah, Pop Blossom on a Fungway. Hongq should easily pick up that kill. To make, to finish your point there for you, Melvin, it's a lot easier to snowball and run away with the game, and you've seen JDG do that in the last 3 minutes.
Most definitely, and it does mean that now this dragon has a lot more priority.
Oh, there it is again.
He's gone. He's just gone.
Didn't even need the shockwave this time. Just the unstoppable force.
Yeah, we see why teams are valuing this Malphite so highly. It's kind of like Nautilus of, if you could just press R on somebody, it doesn't matter how good they are. If the depth charge hits, the depth charge hits. Like, what can you do? If there's a Malphite in the game, unless you have Flash, and as we saw from Cream, even if you have Flash, if they aim the Malphite ult right, you're gone. There's not much to be done about it. Maybe get a spell shield, but the problem is, when it's a jungler, it kind of ends up being like Vi, of they could just smite away a potential spell shield, as we do get to see this pretty solid, just 2v2 outplay from Gala.
Oh, it's so beautiful. That's what I like to call the business as an AD carry player myself. 2 words to remember. All you need is good clicks. And those were some pretty good clicks.
Got the job done pretty handedly, as we do see now, taking a look up at the top. All of the quests completed, bar Cream and Fungway, which is, yeah, difficult situation to be in at this point, with no dragon up at the moment to take, just losing even more tower gold. Just to make it a bit easier for people to understand, the towers basically are the same as last year, minus the fact they now have plates. The reason they're distributed in this weird way is it's the exact same, give or take, of how much damage you have to deal to the tower. They just made it health scaling rather than resistance scaling, because normally when you would take a plate last time, it would increase the resistances of the tower, making it harder to take the rest of them. Now, Riot's just made it a lot more visually clear. It looks a bit weird, but when you realize this is just how it actually works.
Great catch, Nayo, but the cleanse is perfect. Gala gets out of the Jid W. Now they catch Nayo forward, and Vampire finds a two-man pop blossom on the backside. Gala transcended, trying to step up, get a couple more of these autos down. But JDG, even when they get jumped on now, find a way to turn the tides.
That's what we want to see from a team with a 5.7k gold lead at 15 minutes. Damn, it's crazy. Damn, it's crazy. And a majority of that on the back of Gala and Hongkyu. And I will say, credit to Vampire there. Really good counter engage to continue the ticket there. Keep forcing the issue. And this is something that I want to harp on. If you get a lead, you need to keep the snowball going. Because...
that was a Cassante. Yeah, that was a simple Oriana combo. And that Cassante, where's the copy-paste Cassante I need? That... you know what? You're making the point. 6k gold lead. Oh boy. Yep, 369. Tangle Barb. Juja does not need his big ultimate to throw down onto 369. Oh man, he goes into all out just to lose some more resistances. Vampire's looking for more. Gets another Tangle Barb down. Shockwave from Hongkyu through. Does he have enough gross damage for Nayo? No, he doesn't. But man, are they leaving an everlasting image towards Stop Esports? This game is slipping out of their hands. Cream having to TP back in just to cover a turret, but that means Gala, oh my god, that was one empowered Q. This game is getting out of hand rapidly. Quay knows that he's trying to make a snap engage with Cream, but he gets interrupted in the middle of his dash, trying to go after the back line of Hongkyu, but he flashes himself back over the flat wall. Xiaosu joins the party with Dominus popped, and Feng Wei is tarnished and thrown back to the base. This game is going off the rails rapidly, and if you're a JDG fan, this is exactly what you wanted to see out of this new roster.
I think it's so encouraging for JDG fans who, honestly, were probably feeling pretty good after Demacia Cup, but with a middling finals performance, I was not 100% what kind of form we would see them come into the season with. So far, kicking it off in great fashion, but let's temper expectations. After we watch this kind of super force from TES, when you're this far behind, it makes sense that you want to keep forcing the ticket, but as we see there, it was Junjia using the ultimate, stopping Cream, get the Emperor's Divide onto 3, forced to use it defensively in the end. Really the turning point of that play. If there was hope for TES to get anything done, it was entirely stopped by a big rock to the face.
And that's going to happen all game long. One thing, we touched on how much of a team fight threat this composition is, but when you're playing a team fight comp, a snap engage comp like this with a gold accelerated, I mean, how much is every brush, every, piece of fog on the map, Callum, just so scary for a top esports team like this?
Tell you what, they're really glad that the Phaelites got introduced, because the two that's just outside the base that gives you preliminary vision into your jungle, pretty much the only way you get to play from this point onwards. As okay, there was a TP off on the side. Very nice. Thank you for the replay. As we do get the Cloud Dragon started up. And look at this. Even with this far behind, as predicted, TES right-clicking towards this objective like their lives depend on it. And in the game, it currently does.
Oh boy, 369 is completely ganked wherever he was trying to come from. Flashes away with the all-out. He's used everything he desperately can to escape, but all he finds himself is a black and white screen. Second death of the game, and no more clicking towards that objective. It is easily picked up here by Junja. They might even look here for Cream. Cream, you knew this dragon was going down, and now you're going to feel the new import power of JD Gaming. They're daring him to flash an Emperor's Divide. There's the shimmy shake to get himself out. Junja goes after him with the Vampire. Pop bots him onto 3. My lord, it's a massacre for JD Gaming, and somehow Nayo's able to escape it. But again, it's just foreshadowing for what the rest of this game should be for JD Gaming.
Oh, the people's elbow straight onto Cream there. Nothing to be done with this Malphite Nico Orianna. It's just too much. This was the first 3 picks from JDG, and they are executing on it swimmingly. As now we see ridiculous amount of shutdowns across the board available for TES to pray they can pick up. I don't see how they're going to do it this far. It's not exactly like if you take a look at the inventories, they are completely filled with damage. We have a Cassante with 2 items. That's, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a full crit building. Jin needs time. Azir needs mega time. At best, I mean, there's not really much of a way to sugarcoat this, right? Like, how many run over fights? Oh yeah, Baron. Okay, so how many run over fights do we need before you feel like this game's over, Melvin?
Honestly, I need an ace and a Baron steal here, and then TES are back on the menu. But I don't think that's going to happen, because the thing about having this Malphite in the jungle is even if he gets his resisted shredded, tanking up the Baron, he could still just go over the wall and press R. Like, you know, what do you do about that? Yeah, like, I don't think TES have a good angle back into the game. It needs to be JDG making pretty colossal mistakes. We did see throughout last year, oh, nothing there. Is this a fight or is this just posturing?
Let's pretend which one's the real rock. Yeah, that's the even scarier part, right? Is you don't know which one's the one that can fly over a wall, taking all that space up towards the bear pit. That mid-tier 2 turret is soon to fall down. Oh, top lane skirmish. We're throwing down hands, and I would figure Xiaosu is pretty favored in this one, but 369's making it close. The flash stun just to secure it. Xiaosu picks himself up the solo kill to keep the JD train running.
Really nice, considering that was a fight at an item disadvantage for the Renekton, only having the 1 completed item. Really promising, and it's something that, again, top lane hasn't really been the focus of this game, to use a bit of an understatement. But coming into the series, seeing how Xiaosu performs against 369, who was, to our expectation, the most important member of TES. We didn't get to see them at the Demacia Cup, but 369 is such a big name, such an important factor for this team's success. And let's actually see the full fight of what happened here, because the part that we really clocked onto was that flash outplay at the very end from Xiaosu. But it's just complete confidence on this Crocodile, one of their signature picks. We saw a lot of success on the Zehen, but behind the Jax as well, Renekton, he's sitting there ominously waiting for Crocodile to come out. I wasn't happy to see it in draft, but I'm a lot happier seeing it in game.
Depending on what fan base you're here watching our series, you're about to be a lot happier with this next ultimate combo with some of the items you got coming through here for JDG as they try and set up for this Baron. Top Esports, you got to give up some of this real estate, or you were asking for a whooping coming from Junja and Hongq. Junja's so tanky with this build, maximize ultimate damage, but there's Nio flying on the background. Hongq has to go into the stasis. Fengui finds a good angle. The shockwave from Hongq gets him out, and oh my god, Gala just deletes Cream. Yep, it's Gala here to the rescue with tons of damage, and the look to try and chase down a Nio that is way out of his comfort zone, trying to steal camps away. Hongq will just zone him. JD Gaming onto the Baron for now. Top Esports, desperation is the name of their game, to try and find some way into this pit, try and find some way to stem the bleeding, and maybe it's going after Hongq, who's casually going for the 1v1 against Nio, but Nio looking to throw hands back. It doesn't matter. Hongq is just better. JD Gaming secure the Baron. Jachi is jumped on by a Crocodile looking to chase him down. Vampire doesn't even expire. It's only 369 who limps away to tell the tale of the Mad Titans, JD Gaming, in this game 1.
That is the Hongq we wanted to see it coming into the LPL. Fancy feating, and the respect, by the way, to be ahead and pick up the Zhonyas. Something I didn't get to set up before the fight, but it was really the reason that that went completely in JDG's favor. TES have the Ambessa to try and force anything. And guess what? They hit onto the Orianna. Should be best case scenario. Nah, stasis. How can play? Gala gets to just right-click everybody down. And then Hongq opting in to take the fight in the 1v1, executing on it brilliantly. As we see a desperation play. Double TP coming in from the solo lane as a TES on the flank.
Well, they know all those great defensive spells are down for Hongq for now, but he gets right back towards his team, and Top Esports have to very awkwardly walk back up their own lane. Junja, the big tank for JDG, just holding the front line. Vampire poking and prodding with some tangle barbs. Cream is getting a lot of time, though, with that lethal tempo stacked up, and Junja's going to respect Flash away here for now. bringing up that Baron wave. Good call out there, Melvin. They have, oh, yep, Xiaosu just slamming on inhibitor turrets. Well, that really shuts down any possibility of a fight.
Yeah, when you're stuck in this state of wanting to force a play, but hold on.
Oh, Hongq first, Junja second, Gala third, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. JDG are eating good in this game one. Gala's got himself the triple. He's picked himself up the quadra. Gala, pentakill debut on JDG, just like that.
This is LPL, everybody. You came, you saw, Gala got you, and now that is going to be a clean first game for JDG. We talked about the high expectations. We talked about what we wanted to see from these players. This is it. Everybody playing at the maximum for JDG, and TES, terrifying state to be put into for the first series of the year.
Gala, welcome to the LPL. What the heck? That's just like, if we talked about it, right? It's like, you know, like JDG, this is a whole new roster. These are two LCP guys coming into the LPL. Like, it could be shaky. They looked a bit rusty. No, like all the things we were worried about with this team, at least for one game. Oh my God, did I just have to chuck them out the window?
Yeah, I mean, we'll keep the series alive in saying that we just had IG win their first game and then lose the series. This is something that can happen.
That's a good
point. At the end of the day, it's a fearless system. We know there's no more Malphite coming. This is something that TES can look to the game to and hopefully free for them and go, all right, we can just, you know, do something a bit differently and come out on top. But JDG, absolutely just phenomenal performances across the board. Very minimal, if no notes, honestly. They just played well. They didn't drop leads. They outperformed in lanes. Like, what do you want from them? That was just great. Yeah. That was exactly it.
Like, everything that was positively envisioned about the pieces of this team in that game played out right. You know, the CFO duo, mid-jungle, Hongq and Junja, terrorizing Korean that whole game. That same synergy from that Worlds performance was still there. The hype of a Gala Vampire bottom lane, the main sell, was the fact that if they're feeling confident, they're going to throw hands anywhere, anytime. What had just happened in that game? Everything that was propped up as a positive for JDG to be a contender in the LPL just happened in their first debut game. The only negative I could say here is, like, how do you go from the high of that debut game from a roster with how many hundreds of games we have left?
It's going to be difficult, but at the end of the day, we talked about this being a game and a series of expectations. Well, if this is a series of precedent for JDG to start off the split, start off this group ascend on a high note, at the end of the day, you're competing to get into playoffs. And, you know, We're not going to project all the way to first stand. This is the first game you've played. TES could look completely different in a week, let alone in game 2. So now we need to figure out what is going to go on in the drawing board. Does JDG have other stuff that they are going to look this good on? Because you're making it really understandably high level that we got to see from JDG. Can they replicate that on a less relatively cookie-cutter draft? Like, at the end of the day, they had a Malphite Orianna and a Nico. Like, you said it in the first 3 picks. Guys, what do we think we're going to do? We're going to run at them, and we're going to press all the R buttons, and 2 people minimum will die. And guess what happened? That every time. Is there that many more simple ways they can keep this rolling? Will we see stuff like Vi have to come out now?
Well, we get to see some of the... usually, like, you know, you can find some very fun, like, post-game stats to, like, emphasize certain point. Nah, man. It's just what do we emphasize here? The JDG ran over this game. You know what's an interesting talking point is we roll through some of these stats here, Melvin, is it interesting to say the advantage of maybe playing your full roster in the Demacia Cup, right? Like, JDG, this 5, they got a lot of reps together. Top Esports look like a team that didn't play with their 2 solo laners until, well, on stage at least, right now.
I mean, even just talking about the highlights of having Hongq and Junji, like that duo, we expected that synergy, and it wasn't there as much as I would have liked to see in Demacia Cup, but now working fully with the team, we saw several plays where Vampire was there as well to make it into a 3v2, something that we rarely saw happen on the other side for TES. And this bot lane looked very solid together, in nothing really to be problematic. There was a whoopsie-daisy flash or 2 here or there, but that was mainly on the end of TES at the end of the day, so... Yeah, happy days.
Yeah, and again, back to what we really emphasize at the top of show, right? there's so many guys on both of these rosters that are stepping in for LPL legends, right? Junja is playing for Shun's spot. Like, this is Scout's mid lane spot from Honkyu. Jachi in particular, like, having to step in with this Jin for Jackie Love. Top Esports, it's always going to be the back of the mind of the fans, right? It's always going to be back of the mind of some of these players too. The stakes that they're stepping into, and again, it's just one game. You don't need to take a lot away from it, but that is always going to be a big point of emphasis when we talk about who really shined in these games going forward for both these teams. And right now, as you mentioned, it's everybody on JDG.
Yeah, and I mean, looking over to TES, particularly for Jachi, like you're saying, with having Jackie Love, unlike the other ones, not a full replacement. We know that Jackie Love is projected to come back in Split 2, just taking a break off for this one.
Even
so
more
it's
pressure,
arguably
right?
the most important for Jachi to get himself onto another team after this is all said and done. We want to see some strong performances that can really solidify him in that middle of the pack of the ADCs. And, you know, listen, I'm new here. If there is one role that I associate with being the highest skill level in the LPL, I mean, Gala kind of showed it off today, didn't he? Like, it's that bot lane. You need to be doing it. You need to be having these peak performances, especially this season, giving you an extra item slot, accelerated gold, basically everything coming up Millhouse for the bot lane. Like, it looks a great position to be in, and it means that there's so much more pressure to perform, and Gala really showed off that he has been under that pressure. He has performed, and you know what? He knew exactly how to get a Yunara pentakill. That was some great foreshadowing from you.
Yeah, right? Sometimes it pays. It pays to recognize the Yunara pentakill king. I guess we'll call Gala. I'll give you an easy slam dunk here. Callum, who's the player of the game? Wait, what? It's not Gala? I mean, he got a pentakill.
Yeah, but you know, rock solid.
That's top tier analysis. All right, that's all we need. I don't think you need to follow anything up. All right, that's cool though. If there was ever a time to give a team player of the game award, as much of a cop out as it is, Melvin, it would be this game, right? Like, could you could have made an argument for what? Everybody but maybe like Xiaosu?
I mean,
even Xiaosu,
he did
like,
everything correct, like in isolation on the Renekton, no problems with him. So yeah, like everybody did exactly what they needed to. Like, Tabe gonna be sitting very happy after that game.
Yeah, I mean, Tabe, such a divisive decision. Okay, wow. So we get a little breakdown of how close it was. All right, you know what? Team Caster had at least some. Caster's observer. How did refs? What are we watching? I don't understand how we don't at least have somebody vote for bottom lane.
I mean, that's the thing though. Honkyu was just stomping cream in lane,
Yeah,
with or without
you're
his jungler.
You're so right. You're so right. It's a good problem to have when we're arguing over who should win player of the game. Let's say that. Whew, what a start to the journey of two of our staple LPL orgs. Top Esports come out the gate looking flat, and JD Gaming. I think it's a serious question that how do you attain a single game peak higher than that one? Well, you play in bigger stakes games, but that's a long road away. The stakes here for game 2 will be JD Gaming can take away a sweep to start their season. It's up to Top Esports to kind of bring everything together and find some way to fight back in our series. We had a 3-game start to our entire year. Can we have a back-to-back 3-game series in store for day 1 of the LPL Split 1? We'll have to see, because game 2 is coming your guys' way after a short break. right, fresh off the Gala JDG Penta debut. We have to somehow get set for a second game here, as this is a series of 3. And I guess we could start with, I'll ask you the tough question here, Melvin Izzle. If you're top esports, what is step 1 in bouncing back from a loss like that?
Well, step 0 would be to not let Malphite in, but Fearless has got you covered on that front. So I would say
then.
Probably the actual step 1 is get yourself some more early game team fighting. Okay. I didn't like the Renekton pickup for Xiaoshu last game. He played very well on it, but it looks like TES need a bit more to kind of hold them together in that early game, particularly to loop up Nio with Cream in the mid lane. One of the big changes that we've seen with this season is that laners, particularly supports, aren't roaming as much because you want to stay in lane to get those bonus passive points to complete your role quests.
Yep.
And that means if you are getting outlaned, as Honkyu was doing to Cream last game, you get exposed a little bit. And, you know, winning matchup or not, it was quite decisive. Whenever we saw Junjia show up, it was just over. Cream didn't get to play the game on the Azir, and maybe we could have Vampire sack some points to just add to that snowball, but we didn't really get much promising stuff from Jachi or Fungyo bot lane, so let's see if we can get something a bit more promising, a bit more early game skirmish power, something to get TES the lead and avoid JDG building up such a ridiculous snowball again.
Well, you know, I like all that, and a good way to start that ball rolling is to very, very likely secure yourself that first pick. Not B1, I gotta get that out of my head. First selection, and we expect that to come across here for top esports. You know, before we get set for this draft, you talked to me about the support players. I found it a fascinating conversation we were having before while the first series was going on. I don't think you'll show up in this draft in particular, but you did feel pretty strongly, Callum, that there are a lot more spots for, you know, some enchanter expression, especially knowing that you've got to stay in that lane too, right? I feel like that's such a pivotal part of it, that where enchanters can come around.
Because one of the weaknesses of having an enchanter in your draft is you need to have proper engage typically in the jungle and the top lane. But if we are already saying that we want TES to have more aggression, more early game playmaking, more things that they can use proactively, having an enchanter support isn't that bad. And with a lot of these new items that if we do see an enchanter, we'll definitely harp on about, the power of these just abilities to make death ball comps pretty much unbreakable regardless of what you pair these items with is so strong. The bans, we've got them rolling out. We do have TES on the red side with the first pick. Right. So just to clarify for everybody watching, that's what we're preparing for this game. Does mean JDG do have that all-important last counter, right? Have I get this right? I'm just trying to check who's banning first.
You're nailing it. Keep rolling.
Or am I backwards? Or am I backwards? Because I'm looking now. Who's banning first? I think JDG is actually blue side first pick, aren't they?
Oh.
Because they banned first.
Yeah, that's true. So interesting, right? Because everybody was
we
screaming
need more
out
HUD
like
for this.
everyone was screaming out like first. Okay, TS is the first pick.
Okay.
So I guess it must not just change the ban order, which would make sense.
Sure. That's. It's confusing.
We're learning as we go here, all right? It's January in the LPL, right? We have the grace period, all right?
I don't have the excuse for being like, what time is it for you? For me, I've got the sun right there.
5:20 in the morning. I can hear the garbage people coming around outside.
Oh, bless you.
That's where we're at. So we can use the grace period together, all right? First pick was actually JDG, so it was.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's what we heard, right? Okay. Rumble B1, boys. We're familiar with that one. No matter what.
This is all very standard issues so far, and the Vi, it's not early game, but it's kind of what we're hoping to see. Bit more standardized play. Taking it away from Junjie is also very important because holding somebody on top of the equalizer is well, that's devastating. It is what it is. It looks like in that case, we're going to just continue down with the draft. Presumably, TES have actually opted to take the red side here, but we'll find out and let you know. We do, at least going off of the draft, have Avaris, pretty strong pick. Poke Varus has been the prevalent one. Not really seen much of the on-hit or even the crit necessarily, but here we go. Hot pot combo looks like it will be just the Jarvan and the Rumble. JDG already shaping up to have a very similar level of impact in the team fights. Question is now, what will they be finishing off this first rotation with?
Oh my god. This is hilarious. Melvin, you came off of game 1 and you were like, hey, at least Top Esports, you know, like, you don't have to run it. Maybe you don't run another cookie cutter draft, right? You don't have to run into another death ball team fight. Especially, it's deja vu. Anybody with new champions? Fearless can't even keep JDG's strategy down. Toppa just wants to team fight.
And you know what? When you're starting off a split when nobody really knows what's correct, pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with it. We do have the Yorick actually coming out for a side lane threat on TES. Does give an alternate win condition, plates, and this crystalline overgrowth. Has a lot of gold in it now. It's the same net gold as just taking the tower, but the fact that you can chip away and get that gold bit by bit means that, generally speaking, everybody's a little bit richer than they otherwise would be. And that adds to the snowball, and then we get faster games, so on, so on, so on.
So, when it comes to the first selection debacle, there's two realities here. It's either Top Esports selected red side, or they decided, or they selected counterpick. So, one of the two of those went down. I'm sure as the year goes on, we'll find ways to have that better clarified. But those are scenarios we are running into as we move on into that second phase of bans. Double support ban, you expect that coming through here. I'm actually surprised. Yeah, that's a good shout.
There's a Misfortune. This is pretty much like every time somebody picks Misfortune, there is a very natural Brom ban. I mean, it's a bit more abstract, but like Cream is a melee mid player, does like the Yasuo, so there's a very real world we see a Yasuo 5th pick coming out for TES right now.
All right, our awesome producer Kai has confirmed to us that Top Esports selected counterpick. Yeah, that makes sense. There's no way they gave first pick and blue. Like, you don't give both of those. So you had to have selected.
It would be a flex if he did it in one though.
Okay,
that's a way to rebuild confidence. Gala pentakill, winning on regular red side. Which do you value higher? As actually, one of the typically lower priority answers to Misfortune. Brom blocks all of the bullet time. Leona very much second or first, depending on how you all look at it, because she can just ultimate. The MF does again require you to have the ult available and be in range, not having that freedom of a basic ability. I'm just going to stop talking about hovers because everybody's been a bit over the place right now. As right now, JDG have got a very, very solid team fight comp put together, and finalizing with that Alistar in the bottom lane. Now it is just the question of what do you take mid. It's all about that middle pool. Yeah, that is an option. That, you know,
more circles. Hey, you know, Hongq. If you asked somebody who watched all of Worlds, what champions, you know, was Hongq really shining on? I think the first answer you probably get is Azir. Aurora's probably the second one, I would think.
She's definitely up there. Gotta be up there.
Right? Yeah, some seriously awesome Aurora performances. So Hongq's bringing it on over to the LPL. It was only a matter of time. But R5 for Cream, who was super quiet, got far behind early in this game up against Hongq. What does the answer look like? Never bad to lock Silas with an Alistar.
Okay. Alistar, a Misfortune. I mean, listen, we have 5 super ultimates realistically for JDG this game, so yeah.
We do.
Cream has easy pickings, always going to have something that he will want available for the team fight. Thing is, though, let's kind of reframe it back to what we expected and what we wanted to see from TES. Have they managed to put together some of that early game ability to skirmish and build up a lead? The Varus and Leona very good at going off and fighting. The thing is, though, Gala can choose to just only play the lane from max range and just trade Qs for Varus Qs. And there are options right now for JDG to play in a safer manner and kind of get to that level 6 point and then turn on the go buttons. TES, they have a bit more tools pre-level 6, but pretty much equally, in the case of Cream on the Silas, exactly equally, also has a lot of pretty solid level 6 tools, so I think I'm okay with what TES have put together here.
I think this is a very intriguing spot. On top of everything you're saying here, Callum,
Alo nghe rõ trả lời. Thôi vì ván đầu quyết định. Thực ra tôi cũng xong việc rồi nên là tôi sẽ ngồi đây bốc phét với anh em ở trong ván đấu quyết định này nhá. Địt mẹ, ngồi bốc phét với anh em vào đấu quyết định này đi. Rồi, chúng ta sẽ cùng tới ngay với những diễn biến trong cuối đầu giữa Top Esports và JDG. Ván đầu tiên thì tôi trên đường về tôi có đảo qua một chút, tất nhiên chỉ xem một chút thôi bởi vì tôi cũng tiếc tiền 4G. Thì tôi thấy là JDG khá là hủy diệt khi mà như kết thúc trận đấu với tỷ số là 22-2 về kill đúng không? Trận này thì tôi tin rằng là JDG sẽ giải quyết Top Esports nhanh thôi với những gì mà tôi chứng kiến được với đội hình ban pick của cả hai. Khi mà JDG có cho mình những con bài cực kỳ thuận tay, đặc biệt là cặp đôi mid rừng của mình, đó là Home Kill cầm Aurora và Junjia cầm Javan, cùng với kết hợp với bão đạn và mưa tên lửa của Xiaosu, một đội hình giao tranh rất mạnh của JDG. Nhưng điều quan trọng là JDG họ pick cái đội hình này thì đánh nhỏ lẻ, họ cũng không hề yếu. Còn bên phía của Top Esports thì họ pick một cái đội hình mà tôi có cảm nhận được là đội hình này chống cháy thôi, với con bài Sylat cùng với Vi, hai con bài địt mẹ đéo liên quan gì đến nhau, cùng với cả Varus cũng như là Leona ở đường dưới. Để mà nói Varus và Leona đè đường thì có lẽ là có đấy, nhưng mà không đè được nhiều con Mid Fortune với con Atenista đâu. Và Alista là một con tướng rất mạnh trong tranh tổng. Thế nên trận này nhiều khả năng sẽ là 2-0 cho JDG nhá anh em nhá. Nếu không có gì bất ngờ thì JDG thắng 2-0 trận này. Và top năm nay thì khá là yếu so với năm trước khi mà họ mất đi hai chủ lực quan trọng, đó là anh Jackie Tình và cả Canavi. Hai người chơi có lẽ là tạo ra được một cái trục để giúp cho Top Esports có một cái sự ổn định nhất định ở trong giai đoạn mùa giải trước. Với 369 còn lại cùng với Cream thì hai tên thủ này không phải là những người thực sự uy tín để có thể đe dọa được với những cái nhân tố mạnh mẽ của thầy trò Tabe. Hôm nay thực ra tôi không làm đâu, nhưng mà thấy anh em ngồi nói chuyện rôm rả quá nên mình ngồi lên nói chuyện với anh em tí, bởi vì trận này cũng là trận cuối rồi. Game này chắc cũng là game cuối rồi nên là thôi vào nói chuyện với anh em tí. Còn nếu mà game 3 thì chịu thôi. Nếu mà nó ra được game 3 thì chịu. Việc gì mà ghê lại ta. Thì giờ này tôi đang có tí việc. Tôi đang làm một kênh TikTok, đang vừa đi thu về các thứ, thành ra là cũng hơi khó, vừa đi trao đổi kịch bản với thằng edit, có tí việc anh em ạ. Nói chung là cũng không đỡ được, là bởi vì thực ra ngay từ đầu tôi cũng nói với sếp là tôi sẽ chỉ làm như thế thôi, và tôi cố gắng là tôi treo cái link này cho anh em để anh em ngồi xem cho dễ. Nhưng mà thôi, bây giờ tôi quay trở lại với anh em thì ra ngồi chém gió một tí. Với trận này thì khả năng cao là chúng ta sẽ đâm giúp tôi với cái mã kèo xỉu tham 31. Cùng với đó là anh em đâm giúp tôi thêm một mã nữa, đó là mã tài kill. Trận này khả năng là thằng top nó sẽ bật lại được, bởi vì cái giai đoạn giữa game là cái giai đoạn rất mạnh của đội hình bên phía Top Esports, với Varus, với Zonic có khả năng đẩy đường, với Dumble này, và đặc biệt là vai cũng như là con con Sylat. Hai con này thì nó dồn sát thương một mục tiêu rất là mạnh. Cái đội hình của bên phía Top Esports là đánh theo kiểu dồn mục tiêu, tức là họ sẽ bung tất cả các chiêu ra đánh chết một thằng, sau đó thì họ sẽ lui về và họ tiếp tục hồi lại chiêu, họ đánh theo kiểu nhấp nhả. Thì với cái đội hình này tôi đánh giá là sẽ không thể nào về xỉu kill được, và tụi này sẽ là tay kill. Đây là pha xử lý quá hay đến từ Vampire làm choáng tay công nhưng không đủ sát thương để hạ gục được Gia Quỷ. Một tình huống đầu tư khá nhiều thứ từ đội hình của bên phía JDG, và đây thì có bắt tay vào rồi, mà nó chiến công đầu và solo kill cho Cream. Nhưng Cream vẫn còn tốc biến để chạy đi. Junjia mất tốc biến, Junjia lao ra và Junjia gặp nguy hiểm khi mà bản thân anh cũng đã đầu tư tốc biến của mình rồi, nhưng bản thân của Naizo thì không có đủ sát thương. Và đó là một pha solo kill của Cream dành tặng cho người chơi tân binh của JDG mùa giải năm nay, Home Kill. Một tiếng solo kill, và bản thân của Home Kill tôi nghĩ đánh hơi ảo, bởi vì quả đấy thì Home Kill có thể đánh an toàn hơn, nhưng mà quyết định của Home Kill thì vẫn rèn giữ lại với cái đặc sản của lối chơi PCS hay cái khác là VCS. Ra thì game 1 ao trình là của câu chuyện game 1. Game 1 ao trình là của câu chuyện game 1 các ông nhá. Còn không có nghĩa rằng game 2 thì nó có thể thắng dễ. Game 1 ao trình là của game 1 thôi. Chúng ta bỏ qua cái câu chuyện game 1 đi. Chủ yếu là chúng ta hãy phân tích đội hình vào lúc này. Thì đội hình của JDG nó vẫn là đội hình mạnh. Tất nhiên đoạn đầu game thì nó không mạnh như đội hình của top, bởi vì đội hình của top đoạn đầu game thì nó dồn sát thương mục tiêu rất là ghê. Tuy nhiên thì tí nữa mà đánh gọi là ở cái giai đoạn early này mà JDG nó không thua nặng ấy, thì tí nó giao tranh tổng nó rất là ghê anh em nhá. Nhịp mẹ mua tên lửa này, bão đạn này, còn thêm cả đại địa chấn, hai thế giới của Aurora nữa thì tuyệt vời. Nhưng mà mid của JDG vẫn đang khá là đuối, liên tục là những pha mà bị đối phương cấu máu. Đặc biệt là Cream thì vẫn đang sử dụng con bài Sylat này khá tốt. Điểm yếu của bên phía JDG tôi đã phân tích từ Demacia Cup rồi, đó là Vampire chơi không ổn định. Và Junjia làm gì đây? Junjia vào cướp rừng và Junjia chết chay. Một tình huống Junzia chết chay và đã có dấu hiệu bán kèo cực kỳ lộ liễu đến từ bên phía các thành viên của Di Đồng. Địt mẹ cái gì đây? Đã không ra thì tôi đã ra là cả một ván. Cả một ván là câm tịt luôn. Chịu thật. Bịp thì nó cũng phải có giới hạn bịp thôi chứ. Bịp nhiều quá thì đâu có nên. Bịp thì nó cũng phải vừa vừa thôi nhá. Di Đông nhá. Thì có mẹ chúng mày. Bắt đầu dấu hiệu bịp rồi đấy. Trận này thì vẫn xỉu tham thôi các ông ơi. Diễn tí. Diễn tí cho anh em vui. Cho anh em có hy vọng. Hơn có 700 tiền thôi mà đáng bao nhiêu. Bot thì Gala cười vẫn đang khá là uy tín. Thì mẹ lính đang hơn tương đối nhiều. Thế lính cũng là xấu thì câu đội của top. Jiaqui tỏ ra tương đối non khi mà gặp một người chơi kinh nghiệm như là Gala cười. Còn đường giữa thì Home Q vẫn đang làm mấy trò con bò, nhưng mà chỉ số lính của Home Q thì vẫn đang hơn triệt để so với Cream. 49 so với 34, hơn hẳn gần 2 tân lính, hơn 2 tân lính. Đường dưới cũng tương tự như vậy khi mà cũng đang gác tầm khoảng hơn tơn từ bên phía của Gala. Đường trên có lẽ là cái đường sáng sủa nhất từ đội hình của bên phía Top Esports khi mà họ đang có được chất tướng hơn. Bây giờ theo đang muốn khởi động rồng để ép cho các thành viên của Di Đông muốn đánh nhau. Để nhớ rằng là Junzia mới chỉ level 5 và level 5 của con Javan này chưa thực sự quá mạnh. Nhưng Gala cười, Vampire và cả Junzia nữa thì không muốn từ bỏ. Bắn một được hai vào đầu của Lehun, biến tốc biến lao lên làm choáng vào đầu của Junzia, nhưng đó không phải là quyết định chính xác thì phải hai thế giới được bật và người gặp nguy hiểm lại là bên phía của Sehazon. Bây giờ cướp luôn trên gối của đối phương và đó là Cream bằng làm vào bắn, nhưng bây giờ thì gặp nguy hiểm lại là Jiaqui. Jiaqui bị cô lập và Jiaqui nằm xuống và đó là địa bàn gục được nhường cho Home Q. Một trao đổi có lời về mạng thuộc về Di Đông khi mà họ lấy 2 đổi 1. Và điều quan trọng nhất là những mạng hàng gục lại được nhường qua tay của những người quan trọng, là những người đang đánh khá buồn cười ở trong đoạn đầu. Đó là cặp đôi mid rừng tân binh của LPL, Home Q cũng như là Junzia. Điều quan trọng nhất là Home Q bây giờ có mạng thì anh em nhìn thấy chênh lệch rất là lớn từ hai người trên đường giữa và chỉ số lính. 20 chỉ số lính chênh lệch từ bên phía Home Q. Và nó làm hoàn toàn đi khỏa lấp đi khoảng cách 20 điểm hạ gục từ Cream, khi mà anh chàng này đã có trong một pha solo kill và một điểm hạ gục vừa rồi ở hàng rồng. Còn đường trên thì vẫn đang thế đẩy từ bên phía của 369, nhưng lượng lính chênh lệch thì lại không nhiều. Zodic thì nó có cái điểm hay là nó có thể gọi là đẩy được len, nhưng mà về khả năng gọi là tạo ra được sự khác biệt thì không. Bây giờ thì báo đạn cùng với đạn điện chấn được mở ra và Jiaqui vào cửa tử. Một tình huống cho thấy được thương hiệu của bên phía Z-Dog, đó là khả năng địt mẹ đánh khủng đánh điên, đánh như những con bão thú, khi mà Junzia cũng như bản thân của anh Chào Home Q đều là những con người cực kỳ hổ báo. Cả là cười với một cú bão đạn địt mẹ như kiểu chiêu chỉ thẳng đầu và tạo ra được một điểm hạ gục dành cho cá nhân ảnh. 3 đều về điểm hạ gục rồi, với tài Q tầm này đúng là xin chết. Tôi bảo mà đội hình của thằng Top Esports này nhá, nó đánh kiểu gì nó cũng có nhiều mạng được, bởi vì đội hình của nó nhiều sát thương trong giai đoạn đầu và cái khả năng đánh một mục tiêu nó rất là tốt, thế nên là kiểu gì cũng tài Q. Còn với Duy Đông thì cái kiểu đánh khung đánh điên ăn vào máu rồi, đánh ở LCP quen ăn vào mẹ vào máu nên nó cứ đánh khung đánh điên thôi. Và đặc biệt là nhìn thằng Junzia cùng Javan thì tôi lại càng chắc là trận này sẽ nổ tài Q. Nhưng mà vì đánh khung đánh điên nhiều thế này nên là dễ xỉu tham lắm, bởi vì thường là bọn Duy Đông này nó sẽ đưa ra quyết định rất là nhanh và táo bạo. Ví dụ như trận trước anh em mình xem thằng IG đánh game 1 đúng không? Đánh rất là lâu để có thể end game bởi vì nó đéo chịu dùng chiêu cuối đấy, lại khung đánh điên này. Bây giờ đến lượt Gala cười bật tốc biến chạy đi. Và rất may cho Gala cười là Jiaqui không còn tốc biến để đuổi theo. Đó vẫn là tình huống thoát trong gang tấc của cặp đôi đường dưới bên phía Di Đồng. Top nhiều thằng nó non mà, nay dâu với cả thằng Jiaqui mùa trước có đánh cho mấy cái thằng ở top dưới. Đánh có mấy thằng top dưới gặp mấy cái thằng kinh nghiệm như Z-Dog thì ăn làm sao được. Junzia mùa trước của Home Q đều là hàng tuyển bật 2 thế giới lên để dọn lính thôi. Clear chỉ số lính rất nhanh, là vào đồ vương hồi được một lượng máu nhưng cũng phải lui khi mà lượng máu của Cream bây giờ không quá nhiều. Và hiện tại thì chênh lệch về tiền đã có thì Di Đông, nhưng mà Di Đông vừa rồi bỏ trắng bao con sâu. Họ ngại vào bao con sâu là bởi vì top đang bị đẩy liên tục và đường giữa thì cũng không chắc chắn mạnh hơn đối phương. Còn bây giờ thì Junzia đang có mặt ở khu vực đường dưới bởi vì họ biết được rằng là đối phương không còn tốc biến nữa, đã đi qua tầm nhìn của Junzia và ngay lập tức thì đội hình của Top Esports đang có dấu hiệu thoái lùi. Một mắt cắm rất chí ở giữa sông và phát hiện ra được lối đi xuống của người chơi đi rừng đối phương. Bây giờ thì Gala cười đang đẩy lính vào và có lẽ là sẽ có một nhịp bê biến về. Gala cười cũng đang có một lượng chênh lệch rất lớn và chỉ số lính từ bên phía của JDG thì cũng chỉ hơn tầm khoảng 300 tiền, hơn đúng vào cái lượng tiền và chênh lệch với lính mà thôi. Còn bên phía đội hình của bên Zindog thì thực sự là chỉ cần như tôi đã nói, họ giải qua được giai đoạn ban đầu, họ không thua thiệt đối phương tầm khoảng 5.000 tiền chẳng hạn, thì họ sẽ 99,99% thắng trận này. Bởi vì bắt đối phương rất là dễ, đặc biệt là JDG địt mẹ cái ulti lao vào báo đạn xong rồi. Bật thêm cái mưa tên lửa nữa, cần thiết bật thêm cái mưa tên lửa bồi vào, bồi thêm cái 2 thế giới vào nữa là AD bốc ơi. Và khi mà AD bốc ơi thì cái đội hình của bên phía Tobiswat lại phụ thuộc rất nhiều vào cái khả năng quẩy của Silat, nhưng mà Silat trận này không xanh lắm nhá. Mặc dù có 2 điểm hạ gục nhưng mà lính thì không nhiều. Vậy thì lao vào luôn, Silat của Cream có được chiêu cuối bất khuất, khá trâu, nhưng trâu địt lâu cũng chết. Bật luật tốc biến hơi cồng kềnh một chút từ Juzia. Lại thêm một pha xử lý đậm chất VCS của Juzia. Bây giờ chiêu cuối báo đã được giả ra quá đẹp và JDG ngay lập tức mất hơn nửa cây báo. Và cái phải lùi về mà tôi tên xuyên phá bắn đi trượt vào người Gala cười. Và bây giờ dịch chuyển quay trở lại từ Cream. Không còn chiêu cuối bất khuất nữa nhưng Cream được hồi phục đầy đủ lượng máu và sẽ rất ô báo phần còn lại đây. Một tình huống tốc biến lên khá buồn cười của Juzia, nhưng tốc biến được bật vào tường. Quả đấy thì tốc biến qua tường để đuổi theo thằng Nezo nhưng mà không được. Đánh buồn cười vãi trưởng. Không kêu thì sao. Một mình chống lại Mafia, 1 vs 3 đánh rất đổ báo. Còn bên phía của Di Đông thì họ đang muốn xuống khu vực đường dưới để quây lấy đối phương. Cụ thể là JDG đang đi bộ xuống và như kiểu là không biết điều gì đang chờ đợi và rình rập mình. JDG đi vào bụi và vẫn rất an toàn, bật một cái mũi tên xuyên phá ra và cắm cờ lên. Bây giờ đại địa chấn là vào chạy kiểu JDG ơi, chưa hồi tốc biến, chạy lên quận chứ còn gì nữa. Và địa bàn gồm thuộc về bên phía của Juzia, quá khổ thuộc với JDG rồi, không thể tê được. Thằng Juzia tuy đánh khủng đánh điên nhưng lối di chuyển và côn team của nó vẫn rất tốt. Một trước thì Juzia là người côn chính trong đội hình của bên phía CFO bên cạnh Kai Wing. Thì mùa giải năm nay sang Jin Đông thì anh ấy vẫn là người côn chính thôi và được chơi bên cạnh một người chơi kinh nghiệm như là Vampire. Kinh nghiệm thì nó cũng tương tự giống như trường hợp của Kai Wing, thậm chí là kinh nghiệm hơn. Lại FC bỏ rồng thì con mẹ con chó này đánh toàn bỏ rồng ấy. Mấy thằng chó Zindoc đánh toàn bỏ rồng thôi anh em ạ. Nó muốn tận dụng ưu thế đi landing để nó đè bẹp đối phương, có toàn bỏ rồng ấy. Bỏ trắng 2 con rồng ấy. GAV à? Khó nhờ. Mẹ mấy con chó toàn chơi bỏ rồng ấy, bực thật. Đánh đéo thì toàn bỏ rồng chịu luôn. Anh em đợi tôi tí, tôi nghe điện thoại một chút. Anh em đợi tôi tí tôi quay lại luôn. Đợi tôi chút thôi không? Tầm khoảng 5 phút. Alo? Anh em đợi chút nhá, tôi quay lại ngay. Đợi tôi tí. Want to see what happens at Hexdrinker going into the Maw even, considering you're against double AP solo laners, it means quite easy itemization for this Yorick to win the side lane.
Hijack between worlds, God of Ducks, full engage on the Hong Q, as Nayo engages Vampire off the side. Bingway wins the party, but Z's play to the lane, he's gonna flash with the stun into the solar flare. Bingway looking to make the plays, and with the cease and desist, it's more than enough. Love that snap engage from the rookie top esports support.
Exactly what we wanted from them. More aggression, more of that top esports signature, the identity that they had throughout last year of being able to get this early lead and give Cream more of those resources. Completed the mid lane quest as we pan on up now to the top lane. No Vi ult, no Leona ult, but Xiaoxu still in a pretty dire situation.
Goodbye, sweet Xiaoxu. Someone's gonna TP to cover your wave, brother. Hopefully he just has to cover your... Oh, good trade there. Anyway, takes up too much of the turret there, and that gives Gala... I mean, this is the real win, right? On the other side of the map, Gala has been chilling in this bottom lane. So accelerated. Look at the quest too, right? Way ahead on that one, because Jachi's been forced way out of bottom lane. And this is a big thing to talk about for not just split pushing, but lane swapping, Callum. How those quests really are supposed to hold you in lane. I wonder how far Jachi's actually behind. He's been out of bottom lane for so long.
And the thing is, Riot removed the lane swap detective mechanic that came in last year as kind of a really ham-fisted solution to teams constantly lane swapping, deciding to change from the using the stick to the honey this time around, and it has worked pretty elegantly so far, with teams wanting to stick in lanes because of the extra resources. At bot lane, probably the worst one to not have completed the quest because it is multiplicative. When you finish this bot lane quest, it's 2 extra gold on every single minion, extra gold for doing basically everything you would normally be doing kill-wise, and you just get a 300 gold payout upon doing so, along with that extra item slot for boots, which when you're Lethality Varus and could just stack longswords into oblivion, it's really important. We have junglers posturing around bot. Don't know if anything's going to happen here, but let's see.
Ballbreaker's cancel from Nayo. You have to try and get back out. Knows you're engaging Junja, but he brings Cataclysm down. Takeaways here. Solar Flare's going to land. There's the Velvet Carpet coming across, but Nayo gets out of it. Xiaosu's damage does not hit the primary target, so Junja has to flag and drag himself, sacrifice himself to take out the enemy jungler. He's going to flash away from Chachi's piercing arrow, force the Chains of Corruption. He flag and drags further. We're just playing the stall game here, Junja. This is mental warfare right here in the LPL, folks. Chachi, you better hit your Q. All right, he does. But it took a lot more effort than I think Chachi thought he'd have to give.
There was a very slim angle where if that Q doesn't hit, then Jarvan's over the wall and suddenly can walk away to safety, but not going to get away with it. Pretty even trades all in all. A lot of ultimates once again. Flashes as well being blown. Look at the timer. We got Dragon in a minute. Both of these teams want to get this next one. If TES secures Soul Point this early on, not only do they have the Yorick split push win condition, they have the inevitability of if you ever sack a dragon to try and shut down 369 on the side lane, you just lose Ocean Soul, and I think at that point, it's curtains. If we expect long, drawn-out team fights because the burst on both of these teams is a bit here or there, Ocean Soul kind of seals the deal, as this was just really nicely initiated from JDG, but we see the flash out of the Cataclysm that bought a lot of extra time and allowed for the TP to come in and allowed for that return kill to happen in the first place.
Yeah, you know, Phong Gui, really good job.
Đã end game chơi nhở? Nhìn mẹ mấy thằng này lâu la lề mề quá nhở? Thằng Junja lại làm gì đây? Nhìn bố thằng Junja này. Tôi anh em nhá. Vừa tôi lấy đồ ship. Hôm nay đang có tí việc, nhiều đồ đạc quá. Đang tính chuyển nhà anh em ạ. Tôi đang tính chuyển nhà trong cái đợt này vào. Không dựa chân ai, đây là dòng 3. Liệu là Jin Đông lại có bỏ dòng 3 hay không? Tôi nghĩ chắc chắn là không. Họ sẽ muốn tranh, nhưng vấn đề là họ tranh được đến bao nhiêu. Đó mới là câu chuyện. Thuần bỏ dòng á, bọn này thuần bỏ dòng. Bão đạn giả ra quá đẹp và Saizu nằm xuống mà chưa kịp làm gì. Bây giờ thì tiếp tục là Giang Duê nằm luôn. Khi mà hai người trên đường trên còn chưa kịp can thiệp vào con rồng này thì TES Esports đang có dấu hiệu thú đẻo. Họ đéo thú. Và như vậy là rồng thành công dành cho Jin Đông. Chỉ khi đối phương thua giao tranh thì họ đánh kiểu gì đánh cũng sẽ phải end game. Mặc định rồi. Bây giờ thì gặp nguy hiểm và Gala cười lại có được thêm một điểm hạ gục nữa. Trời đất ơi, xong rồi. Trận này có vẻ thì đã đi đến hồi kết rồi. Không còn gì có thể cứu nổi các thành viên bên phía của Top Esports vào lúc này. Như vậy là sẽ là 2 rồng dành cho Jin Đông. Cắt cử hông Q lên để đép đi tân lính. Khó rồi. Gala nhiều đồ mà, đi mẹ nó ao mẹ đồ chứ, ao mẹ CS được đâu. Tầm này nó ao CS rồi, nó ao toàn bộ đội hình luôn rồi. Đánh không nổi. Doric giờ đáng để lẻ thôi chứ biết làm gì giờ anh em. Ngoài để lẻ ra thì nó làm được gì nữa. Chả làm được cái đéo nữa. Nào lao vào bật chiêu cuối 2 thế giới lên từ home kill. Và thôi 369 ba đầu 6 tay cũng không chạy nổi. Và đó là điểm hạ gục tiếp tục được nhường cho Gala. 405 cho Gala rồi. 405 Gala. Quá mạnh đến từ Gala cười. Gala này thì không biết cười. Thực sự là uy tín từ bên phía đội hình của Jin Đông. Càng đánh thì họ càng mạnh. Và họ càng đánh thì họ càng thắng thôi. Đánh không nổi nữa rồi. Gì đây? Lag à? Bây giờ thì mục tiêu của Jin Đông có lẽ là họ sẽ kiểm soát tầm nhìn ở khu vực này và tiến vào hàng Baron thôi. Nhưng mà đội hình của họ ăn baron khá chậm, nên tôi nghĩ là đấy là một điều yếu duy nhất của họ. Đây là điểm yếu duy nhất của họ, là họ baron khá chậm ấy. Mở trước này, người gặp nguy hiểm bây giờ là Gala tốc biến chạy đi được, vẫn kịp dùng được chiêu cuối. Mưa bào đạn quá đẹp, và bây giờ các thành viên của bên phía đội hình Zeno đã có dấu hiệu hủy diệt hoàn toàn đối phương. Double kill dành cho Gala. Tiếp theo nạn nhân là ai đây? Đó là 369 chỉ là một con canh mộ và đi ăn cá kho tộ mà thôi, và cút ngay đến từ giờ đây. Triple kill cho Gala. Và Baron mở ra cho Zinong với tiếp tục là một trận thắng hủy diệt hoàn toàn top esports trong ngày hôm nay. Quá ghê. Gala cười quá ghê ở trong trận đấu này. Gala không vui và anh ấy đang hủy diệt toàn bộ đội hình của đối phương. Thực sự là với những gì đang xảy ra,